Hello everybody and welcome to Woodville Oval. It's round 7 in the SANFL and today it's the Eagles at home against South Adelaide. Both sides are coming off losses last week but still sit 3rd and 4th on the ladder respectively. And for new coaches Paul Hamilton of the Eagles and Greg Anderson of South Adelaide, former teammates at Essendon, I think there'll be a little wager on the side, but a win today for one of these two sides consolidates a position in the top 3. As Mark Naley joins us, the former 1984 Panther best and fairest and 91 Magarey medalist, you've still got a bit of a home bent for the Panthers, Mark, and they'll do pretty well today.
I think I have to, David. I spent most of my junior football at that club, came right through and won a Magarey medal there back in 91, as you mentioned. A great club to me, but today, I mean, their form so far this season has been a bit up and down. They really have improved this year on the premiership table. I saw them last week against the Double Blues under lights at Adelaide Oval, and they went down by 24 points, but they're still sitting there in 4th position. Another big improver this year, David, has been the Roosters, who are sitting on 5th.
Well, they're playing exciting football, both South Adelaide and North Adelaide. Who would have thought that Sturt and Norwood would fill 6th and 7th position, let alone Glenelg being on the bottom? It really is a topsy-turvy season.
Yes, it really has been, but the Magpies, they're still up there, and the Centrals, who are really, other than that game against the Magpies out of Elizabeth Oval, their form really has been so good. And the Eagles, getting beaten last week by the Bulldogs, will be looking for a big win this afternoon.
Well, I think one of these two sides, whichever sides win, gets a little bit of a break on the rest of the field. And I guess the weather conditions are perfect for football here at Woodville Oval as we go down to Michael Parsons on the boundary.
Yes, thanks, David. It doesn't get much better than this, does it? Living in Adelaide, there's a lot of reasons to do it, and this has got to be one of them. The weather is absolutely fantastic. A few days off to go with it, and all we want now is a great game of football. But with the weather, it's about 17 degrees right now, not a breath of wind, and that'll be fantastic. But before we go too much further, just want to say a special hello to young Rebecca Goldsworthy. She's been in the Children's Hospital all week, and I hope she's getting better now, eating some of those robe crayfish that she likes so much. So, Rebecca, it'll be good to see you back on deck very shortly. But today, David, it should be a great game of football. Looking forward to it, and the weather, it's perfect.
Beautiful. Good on you, Rebecca. We know you're watching, and we hope everything turns out all for the best. Mark, as we go to the Eagles lineup, they look pretty strong around the ground. Still a number of injuries, but with their AFL players coming back, they look very, very strong.
Yes, they do, David. They're a very strong unit. I mean, on form there, if you look up forward there, they're very, very good with Cicarella in the pocket, Cluzak, but the big improve I want to see this afternoon is Burton. You know, the high, or the Birdman as they call him these days, he's going to be exciting to watch.
I guess as we go down to Michael Parsons, Michael, the ruck contest today, 4 great ruckmen in this match will probably go a long way in determining the outcome.
It always does, David. The most important position on the ground, I've always led to believe, but there's some quality ruckmen going around today. The one that I haven't seen a huge amount of over the last couple of years, but I'm really keen to watch, is Crayshaw from South. He's a long, lean man, and he's just developing with every season. It'll be interesting to see if he can get those young runners from South Adelaide the first use of the ball.
Fair enough. Brogan and Crawshay versus O'Hara and Neiman. As we go to the South Adelaide lineup, Mark, Crawshay and ruck looks pretty good. Brogan is playing out of a forward pocket, knows how to kick a goal, but certainly they've got some firepower in their big man department.
Yes, they definitely have with, as you said, Crawshay and those players up there. But one player I've seen a couple of times this year has been Perry, lining up today at centre-half forward. Kicked a couple of goals there last week, and Cobb, the 1999 best and fairest, playing at centre-half back this afternoon. It's going to be a great game of football.
Well, as we go and pick up play, it's the first quarter, a great game. Stay with us till 5 o'clock, the big action. 3rd versus 4th, South Adelaide and the Eagles. Your commentators are Mark Naley with Michael Parsons.
Well, the siren sounds here to start the game against the Panthers up against the Eagles. Captain Andrew Rogers won the toss and is kicking left of screen. The Eagles go forward. The first kick of the afternoon comes from Colville. Kicked up well. Talbot nearly got his hands to the football. The Panthers trying to clear from defence. Back to Mills. Mills had support inside by Talbot. He runs off. He's a left legger. Kicks it up inside 50. Going back with the ball is Clonan. Can he get his hands on the ball? Couldn't quite get there. The Eagles crash into each other, coming through hard. The ball breaks free from Draper. And again there is Clonan, very busy early. 30 is Stagg, a new player to the Panthers this season. Again, the Panthers just giving possession. The free kick has been found. The umpire believes Christopher Hall threw the football, and the Eagles will clear from defence.
Shirley gets it to Floriani. Some real intensity in the opening moments of this match. Both sides pumped up to do pretty well. Crawshay dropping back deep, the big ruckman. Marks and distributes it off to Talbot. On to the left, O'Hara. Underneath this one grab, 2 grabs. The big fellow stretched and did well. Well, he looks impressive, the young 18-year-old. Back it goes to Beveridge, into the state squad after 5 games of SANFL footy. To Sikalella, back from the Crows, chipping in short, but the target was not good in thread goal. Dropped back into the hole with great courage and took a defensive mark.
Yeah, Dean Talbot had a good start again. Best on ground last week in South's performance, and he's getting his hand on the ball early again today.
Panthers just clearing from defence now. Again, long kick down the line. 3-on-1 here. O'Hara goes up, but the back was Rogers. Will be paid the mark. So they have a reliable captain. His hands on the football again. Good vision, finds Colville on the wing. He takes off. Mills will try to get him, couldn't. Colville unleashes with a big kick. Coming out hard, a good mark by Johnson. He takes off running. Gives a handball across again. This is Hall over the top. Couldn't quite find Trent Mills out on the wing there. So the ball will be thrown in. We've played nearly 2 minutes into this first quarter, and neither side yet to score. Well, fellas, it's good to see the captain back there, Andrew Rogers on the screen. Missed 5 weeks there with a hamstring injury.
This is Burton. It's a half forward on the half volley. McCarthy couldn't quite get there. Dishes it out effectively. Beveridge running through the midfield. Well, the left foot just didn't quite work for him as he would have liked. Cluzak, that's Chris Type. Back in the direction of Beveridge, who butters up his second and third. Duck the chutney. The umpire had to call play on from 60. He pushes it deep into the pocket. A high ball for the forwards. Who wants it? Up and down. Nobody could complete the mark. And Pesh, the little Eagle Rover, sets out after it, but couldn't quite get there.
Last time we saw these Eagles play, we commented a few times on the structure that they've got going into their forward zone. But South Adelaide, aware that they try to create a space across centre-half forward just inside the 50, are pretty good at clogging it up so far.
Panthers clear from defence. Looking out for Damasi, former Bulldog, now a Panther. It comes back to Rogers. Good form by Rogers so far in the opening games this season. Kicked up by Gallagher as a high ball comes down. They've got the numbers of the pack, at the face of the pack there, the Eagles. They just need to be able to get the ball out. Panthers are working hard through Johnson. His hands are on it again, trying to give the handball out. He finally does, but he needs to butt up again for it. Coming out with thread goal with a quick kick. Number 1 coming through is Morgan. Morgan did very well there, as you heard Michael Parsons say in the background. Comes in Mills, needs to get the ball. O'Hara, it's on top of him. It's up high, good jump from the front of the pack. Couldn't quite be taken there by Brogan. Bulldogs again, not the Bulldogs, but the Eagles out there have done well through tape. The ball just sitting up this afternoon, finding it very difficult for the players to hang on to it. Again, the big fella gets the snap at goals. What's he done with it?
Brogan.
It's Brogan. It's gone across the goal mouth and through for the first score of the afternoon. It goes to the Panthers. They're 1 point. The Eagles yet to score.
Indeed, Brogan is a very good athlete. Played basketball against him, actually. His brother of Michelle Griffiths, as she is now. Superstar Australian player. He's 6'5", he's very quick, and he's obviously plays a bit below his knees as well, David.
Well, I guess Port Adelaide thought he was good enough to have a look at. They see something in him and look to him to be a longer-term prospect. Burton, well, he looks a class act, doesn't he? Streaks away from centre-half back, nobody in his stride, and streaking away now. Beveridge comes inside 50, lines them up and finishes it off beautifully. It was Crowell. Crowell it was, fellas. Gee, looked a little like that. I've not seen Crowell take off like that.
Burton was right up his jumper, telling him to go and go to goal. He got within that 50-metre line, and when you're running at him, you've got to finish. And you can see Burton here just giving him the voice. Go, he says, go, you've got a goal if you go, son. And he went, and he finished very well.
Well, a good goal there by Andrew Crowell. 190 centimetres, so quite a tall fella. Now they've set up Michael with no centre-half forward. Very open, direct line towards full forward, who's Christopher Cluzak. Crawshay, he too has been in good form this year. Rogers couldn't quite take that. The sock on forward. Gallagher should be able to get to this. The little Terry is at it. With him hard. The free kick's been found there and will go to Stagg.
He worked hard for that, didn't he? Got himself into the front position.
Stagg booms that little left leg, punches in hard. Coming out hard was Draper, couldn't take it. Burton again. Just picks up another possession, comes across to Gallagher. He'll give the ball across to Dutchy. Holland, left leg, it just puts it out beautifully again for a Crowell.
It's Floriani.
Floriani it was, sorry. Number 9. Crowell puts it out. Chance 11 coming across there was Christopher Cluzak. Couldn't quite take it from the back pocket there. Running down hard was Palmer, number 31.
And that forward set-up, Mark, you mentioned they're setting up at the restarts or in the bounce downs in the middle of the ground with no centre-half forward at all, and they've got two good marking half-forward flankers. It's a good setup that allows people to get some space around them.
Crawshay thumps it forward over the top of a Turvey. Tackle. Play on, said the umpire. Opportunity for Newett. Slick handball. Pesh in trouble. Did pretty well just to get through traffic. Dispatch a kick forward. Talbot for South Adelaide, quite content to see the ball go across the line. We've played 6.5 minutes into the first term, and the Eagles are one straight goal. South are one straight point.
Yeah, we just finished on that comment. The two half forwards that they've got as marking half forwards are Crow and John McCarthy coming back into the team. Very experienced, ex-AFL, North Hobart, all well over sort of player.
Good handball by Mills, releases Morgan. Morgan, the thumping left foot. So they've got a few left footers out there this afternoon, the Panthers. We'll keep up with them. Good mark. Again, Perry normally plays at centre-half back. It lines up a centre-half forward this afternoon. The kick's beautiful by Perry. Finds the big number 26 in Dean Brogan.
That was a very good kick. Just saw Brogan on the long lead, started back in the square, used his pace, got a couple of yards on his man, and Perry was good enough to slot that left foot right out in front. And Dean Brogan didn't even break stride.
We've talked about height, about Crowell at 189, 190. Brogan, the tallest player out there this afternoon at 200 centimetres. The kick looked a bit awkward. Really made it home there to tip the post. So another behind to the Panthers. They move on to 2 behinds. They trail the Eagles on 1 goal, 6 points.
Stephen Hall from fullback for the Eagles. State squad member again this year. It's now 3 years in a row for him, to Jamie Tape, who really has bolstered the Eagles' defence, and you suspect that he'll take over that role that Andrew Rogers has played for a number of years, just pinning down the defence. Rogers, very clever. Burton, slick as usual. Colville with pace, streaks away, but just had a little too much pace and not enough control. And South Adelaide were able to mark cleverly. It was Cobb to Palmer, but the Palmer kick was out of bounds on the full. So South Adelaide defence combines pretty well, but their finish was just a little poor.
They share the ball around pretty well as they run out, David. There's a lot of quick decision-making, good quick hands, but a couple of times they've just let themselves down with the foot skills when they go to the first release.
You've been impressed with this player at the moment, David, and Burton really is finding the football and finding it at will.
I must say to you, Mark, he was probably in the top 2 or 3 excitement machines in the AFL last year. It's imponderable to me that the Crows can't find a spot in their side.
Yeah, see, I'd go as far as to say the last half of the season he was the Crows' best player. His form was very, very consistent. The Eagles go forward again. Christopher Kluzak gives the lead out front. In front of Johnson, he goes around the body, heads up forward for his brother, and Matthew couldn't quite connect. So the first behind for the Eagles this afternoon. They're on 7 points. They trail the Panthers by 5. They're on 2.
It's actually Mr. Burton who is named at centre-half forward, and he's the one that's creating the space by the run that he has.
Thread goal towards Perry. Perry took a big, honest fly. Couldn't bring it down. Morgan unsettles Floriani off the top of the ball. 32 for South Adelaide was Chris Hall going forward. 13 was Mark Damasi. Couple of bounces, backed himself in, chips it in with a 9-9. Draper was the target. Coming out underneath it, Brogan was caught short as well. Now Tate will need to go back hard and support Shirley, who goes to the boundary line. Colville worked down from his wing deep into defence, picks up the loose ball, drives it forward, and Burton again. Well, he's running Nathan Turvey ragged, and he looks a class act, this kid.
Well, Dave, you reckon he's lining up a centre-half forward. He's taken this ball in a half-back flank, so he really is covering a great deal of territory. As we see a push there, Panthers might receive a free kick. They shoot through Talbot. Another player I've been impressed with this year is Andrew Beveridge, another state squad player. His form has been outstanding and warrants that selection. Ball comes out again. They're looking for their full forward in Draper. He comes out hard, just keeps the ball in the area. Clinton Draper. It's high. There's a chance of Brogan on the back. Didn't quite have the jump at it. Now tries to paddle it forward. Gives it back to Draper. Then this should be able to walk in. He's tackled beautifully from behind. Magnificent effort there.
David Gallagher.
Looks like Gallagher going back hard. The little terrier just worked hard to get to the contest and apply the tackle.
Fabulous ball skills from Dean Brogan, though. Just controlled the bouncing ball and quick give to set up the opportunity, but a fantastic desperation tackle.
Gallagher forced it forward. O'Hara was caught underneath it. 32, Hall again, just a short one. Missing the target there. And now Gallagher forced to mop up again, distributes it wide. Burton is just having a field day out there. And he's setting up plenty of attacks. Floriani just got a poor handball from Burton. It wasn't Floriani's fault. Too high, that one, said the umpire, and Gallagher will take the free. Neiman off, O'Hara, Neiman on, O'Hara off. So the Eagles are going to have a real crack at the South Adelaide big men today. And Neiman gets his chance to have a go at them. The kick from Gallagher forward. McCarthy, one-man contest. Uncontested marks. You don't see many of those at this level. The McCarthy kick was a shocker. It went straight to Crawshay, who just plucked it off and feeds it off beautifully, and then decides he'll take a couple out with him.
Did well, the big fella. Comes back inside. 37. Another new player for the Panthers, and Aaron Martins having his 7th game in the blue and white colours. Up again. Brogan. In fact, it was Perry again, put his hand up. Clonan. He is one of the smallest players on the field. Oh, Rogers puts down number 13 behind. Will think with the ball. Clonan, Damazi's down, holding his head. The elbow was up by Rogers, but a goal's been scored by the Panthers. They get their first major for the afternoon, and they lead by 1 point.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a look at that bump again, Nails. But obviously the Shepherd came in. We'll see it now as we go to screen. Clonan just bursts away, and then the Shepherd was applied. The finish there. We didn't get to see it, unfortunately, so we'll take it as called.
Be quite thankful of that.
12.5 minutes into the first term. South Adelaide have hit the front. They lead by a point, and they're playing a pretty good brand of football. Perfect conditions, attacking football from both sides.
And where is Burton, David? Looking for him when they line up. He's trying to sort out his structure.
I think he's playing as a ruck rover, to be fair. That's where he appears to be playing, to me. Floriani. Burt streaks off after it. Crowell just pushes it forward. He did that intelligently, Crowell. Gave Burton every opportunity. Burton needed some support. There was none. He held the ball. That's all he could do in the final wash. South were just too good. And Talbot streaks away. Now it's Turvey, who's Burton's direct opponent. 60. This could hurt them on the rebound. As he drills it in long and low, it could hurt them, but no. Off the hands it was Tate, who clears up the defensive action and forces it to Floriani. Now, Burton is free at the other end, if they can get it to him. Crowell, quickly. Burton hasn't got his direct opponent within 100 metres. Right this second, drops into the hole, the big fella. He's got it, he can take off and run. No, he instead elects to set. Now, this is where he is dangerous, because if you run off him, you've got to get back on him so very quickly, he'll just cut you to shreds. And South Adelaide's defence did a great job then. They just made sure the contest was held. And it's a bounce.
You see the discipline in the Eagles side, though. Just every time they get an attack down the flanks, they really do bring it back into the centre of the ground to give themselves an opportunity at the full face of goal.
Ball's down, Morgan over the top. Ball couldn't quite sit there for Mill. Going back into the heat was Martin again. The Panthers needed the ball in the boot. They do this time. 30 coming across with Stagg. Ball bounces over the top of him. He's hit as he goes down. Stagg by Neiman. Cobble ends up with the football. So Panthers going down early in this first quarter. They straighten Beveridge around his body. Goes up forward towards Pesh. Now Pesh has got lead. He's got McCarthy. He's got Chris Cluzak coming inside. Crawshay's there. Puts the big arms up. Johnson didn't go hard enough at that football. Matthew Cluzak over the top. Which way will it sit? Oh, magnificent goal.
It was touched.
It's been touched. Nearly there by Burton. So another score to the Eagles. And scores are locked away on 8 points each.
They just slipped.
Just a poke in the eye, I'd say.
Off balance. Neiman and Crawshay. Good contest from Neiman. Martins forces it down. 31 getting it forward was Palmer to Morgan. And through half forward they go. Perry comes crashing out. Rogers claims him. The handball is dispatched to Clonan, who's outside 50. Needing support, he gets it. It's Damazi, who was knocked down moments ago, but straightens up and misses to the right. Just a point. It was coming back, but just not quite far enough. And Damazi registers a point.
I'm impressed with the run that South Adelaide are generating from their half-back line. There's some players back there that have got really good decision-making. They're using their hands, getting the quick handballs away. And as soon as they release the ball, they run again. And it's that second effort and the second option that's giving them some run across the centre of the ground and setting up some opportunities for their forwards.
Well, the huddle's broken. Just 2 outriders being used by Coach Greg Anderson this afternoon. Brogan on one side, Perry on the other. As Hall thumps the ball, grandstand side at Woodville Oval. Brogan went up, 2 grabs by Neiman. Will go alone now, look to give the handball. Comes out wide for Beveridge. Morgan's there, so the 2 centremen playing very tight on one another this afternoon. Gallagher gives the running support from half-back. Little left leg out front. Good kick, McCarthy, one hand, grabs it and pulls it back in. So good build up here. Kluzak goes hard. The ball goes over the top. Johnson needs to go back harder. Just didn't again. And Kluzak really is running him around, Michael.
Kluzak is running him around, but that is one of the better kicks you will ever see in football right there. John McCarthy came back, was looking long, saw a man standing flat-footed and could punch the ball hard enough so that his man could take the ball without being cleaned up. That was just a fantastic kick with an Australian football.
So Kluzak, the Eagles full forward, puts it up in the air. It's a good kick by Christopher Kluzak. That's his first for the afternoon, and the Eagles second.
Yeah, John McCarthy, take your hat off. Dean Talbot, he's got some touches early, been running off John McCarthy, try to expose him for pace. But John McCarthy, as we all know, he's a veteran, he's hard at the ball, he's a great mark. And we just saw then the advantage of having good skills in this game.
Almost 18 minutes gone. First term, the Eagles are 2-2. South are 1-3, a 5-point ball game as it's starting to hot up there as the players warm to their task. Neiman thumps it down the throat of Burton, who drives it forward. McCarthy on the chest has got it again. So 2 kicks in 2 minutes, but this one's into the man on the mark. Didn't do the Eagles justice. Recovery, Floriani and goal. It's so simple, isn't it? Great teamwork, good second and third efforts, and Floriani gets his first and the Eagles third.
And just having a quiet chuckle at Dean Talbot. He's still down in the middle of the ground. He was on the mark, had his hand stretched up, making it hard for the kicker, as the coach tells you, and he got one right in the breadbasket. I've just given John McCarthy the biggest rap for his kicking skills, and he's come up with a shocker.
Some would say that was a good kick.
Had to take a devious mind like yours, David, to go back and kick straight into a man on the mark with his hands above his head.
I've actually known that to be done before when a bloke's been beaten comprehensively on a wet day.
2 quick goals by the Eagles, extend their lead out to 11 points. The good bounce again by the umpire gives Crawshay a chance to jump at. He does that. Eagles again. Good work inside. Some tough work there by Neiman. Ball comes back to Crawshay. He's going to play out wide and Mills. He uses him. Then Mills unleashes a high ball up forward. Tape should clean this up. Couldn't quite get back. In fact, it was Shirley. It allows Brogan to come in, Perry to come in. The big kick goes up forward. Which way will it bounce? I think it's come through. It has for Perry. A good goal from outside 50 by the centre half forward. Brings up the Panthers second.
That was very well done by Ian Perry. Nails, last week I think it was, we were having a chat and you were telling me that you thought this man could play AFL football. When you're that big and you can turn like that and get off a left footer that brings up a score, you definitely have got the package. That's unlucky from Hall too. Just everywhere, isn't it? Just where is that damn ball? But Perry, he presents himself very well at centre half forward, gives them the target as they run off the half back line, and there we saw the package.
Margin back to 5 points, 3-2 to 2-3. And a good bounce for Perry. Crawshay out of the ruck. Just feeds it off beautifully. Turvey goes forward. At the back of the pack, Damasi runs inside 50. They'll goal from here, South Adelaide, as Damasi settles and puts it right through. The Panthers are back in front. What a game this is in the first turn at Woodville Oval, and you're watching all the action on ABC Sport.
You're right, David. It's a good quality game. A lot of space on Woodville Oval today. Both teams looking to run. And in that case, it was Simon Crawshay summed up the positions very well out of the ruck, took control of the ball, gave off the handball, and then it just sat for Damasi. And again, second time today, he's just run into the open goal and been in a position to finish.
So the Panthers hit back with a couple of quick ones as well. They move on to 3-3. 21, the Eagles 3-2, 20. So we have a game on our hands. We've played 21 minutes into this first quarter. The ball will be put down again in the middle of Woodville Oval. Crawshay, this time Neiman gets his hand to the football. Neiman back to the second effort on Pesh. Pesh is putting a bit of pressure there. Still gets his kick out. 24 is Newitt. Gives the handball across. Gallagher running down. Good tackling down from behind. gives Beveridge a chance to take the football. This is around his body. It's a high ball. Has he the distance? I think he has. Just hasn't the accuracy. So another behind. So scores locked away once again between the Eagles and the Panthers.
And once again, that forward thrust from the Eagles come from a set play set up at the centre bounce down. Newitt starting on the wing, just moving into the centre of ground and running forward, not really looking at his direct opponent, but the ball fell his way and he got an opportunity as we see some decision-making going on in the full-back line.
Peter Johnston, who is a left footer, had an option, then it was covered. So he decided to go to Crawshay, the big target. Beveridge inboard, Pesh, slick one over the top. Newitt caught in the tackle, dispossessed. It was brilliantly done. South Adelaide through Morgan, race it out. Morgan gives it off now to Dean Talbot, who pushed it even further forward. Clonan comes out, the young fella. One bite, two bites, couldn't gather it in, but his recovery was very good. Escapes away from Ben Higgins, who's just come onto the field. The handball over the top, releases the ball forward to Andrew Stagg. The double play just didn't quite come off, did it? And the Eagles' pressure was very, very good. But South Adelaide would rue their poor hand skills because they had a golden opportunity.
Yeah, the skills are just a couple of times today have let them down. But if you're looking for things in a young player that you want to see, Clonan just showed it then, just to be able to run full tilt, stop, turn, and go back the other way.
Well, Clonan's just been taken off, coming on for his first run in the afternoon as the captain of the Panthers, Andrew Osborne, straight into the heat of things, no doubt. The 1998 Magarey medalist does suffer a bit from hamstrings, as he did last year, and also the start. He's missed 5 games.
Did you say
this year?
Did you say a bit, Mark?
Oh, he does. He missed last year. I think he missed about 10 weeks. We saw him at Elizabeth Oval, where he did tear it.
A lot of blokes would have given up, wouldn't they, with the injuries he's had?
Well, 2 AFL lists, the Power and also Geelong. And still a very, very good player, quality footballer. He gets his first touch. No, it wasn't. It was, in fact, it was Morgan. Similar type of player. Neiman comes up. It's been good since he's come onto this game. Gives the ball high and wide. Finds Colville somehow. He backs himself. Just pushed as he was kicked it there by Turvey. Ball's up high. Beveridge. Oh, I like this bloke. I do like the way he goes about his football.
Tough and mean. Goes in towards Sikalella. Couldn't take it, but Chris Hall just did enough to interfere. Talbot forced out to the back door. Goes towards the line. Pesh will just pick it up just inside the line. Almost carried it across. Crowell, Gallagher. Combination was good because underneath this one, good mark has been taken by Mark Stevens. He plays on quickly. Well, that's AFL experience for you, and let's see what the finish is like. It's even better. Right through the middle, 23.5 minutes in. Mark Stevens gets his first, and the Eagles just advance to 4-3. South are 3-3 on the ABC scoreboard.
When a team is thoroughly switched on and everything's going your way, you just can't allow little mistakes like this to happen. Nobody stood the mark, turned around, saw the open gate and turned around and went. They're the lapses in concentration that would really rile Coach Greg Anderson.
So scores changing 4 times in this opening quarter. Nearly the 25-minute mark. Pesh again, tackled well from behind by Turvey. Umpire will come in very quickly. We'll bounce it up. A good standard of football so far in the opening term. In absolutely perfect conditions here. Just off Port Road. Good hands, Crawshay gives it to Osborne. Osborne gives it across to Mills. Mills sends up a high one. Where's Brogan? He's from behind again. Couldn't quite get to it. Cleaning up beautifully there, number 22 for the Panthers, Makio. The ball smothered as he kicked it. Good work back. Allows the Eagles to soccer the ball forward. Only goes as far as Mills. Mills quickly onto his boot. Somehow he's found Osborne. Osborne just gives the ball off unselfishly across to Damasi, who's kicked 1 for the afternoon, will line up for his second.
Yeah, so I'm not sure that Mr. Osborne had 100% confidence in the strings from 50 metres.
I think that's the obvious one, isn't it? Because
it is.
We all thought that. We all looked at each other and said, he is not as completely fit as he'd like to be.
It's very hard when you missed as much football as you had this season to come back and just to slot straight back into it. As we see the goal being kicked up, that's Damasi's second. He's kicked 2-1 this afternoon. The Panthers, well, the lead changes once again.
Again, pretty good football from South Adelaide. They are are reasonably aware of the game plan of the Eagles, where the Eagles come down the flanks and then cross it over into the middle of the ground. If their midfield runners can pour down, really bust themselves, get to centre-half forward, clog up the spaces, there's enough players there then to get control of the ball and run it back out. And they're looking pretty good.
They would love to see Burton's stats early. We could just bring him up to see how many he has had.
We'll get there in a moment. 4-3 apiece. And Burton's had 8 possessions in the first 26 minutes of this game. He's done well, but perhaps hasn't dominated. Turvey dragged off the ball. Rogers toe pokes one forward in the direction of Newman. He couldn't quite get there. Great courage. Threadgold. Newman, the big fellow, comes again, throws himself into the contest. But Threadgold did very well, gained 30 metres and forced the ball forward. I like the way he plays it, Mark.
He's been around the club for a long while. His father was a former player back in the 70s, the early 70s.
Is that Brian?
No, it was, in fact, it was, how am I going?
Think about it. We'll come back to you.
Mr. Threadgold.
As Osborne goes forward, great courage Higgins, but at the back, over the top it goes. Chris Hall, cleverly done. And the finish from Damasi. Now, Rogers has got Damasi.
Draper.
Draper.
I've thrown you, David. My fault entirely.
There you go. So Draper finishes it off.
Yeah. I know how David Mackay prides himself on never calling a player wrong. I've given him the fake and he's bought it with both hands.
Oh, dear me.
Well, Threadgold's father was Ian. I just remembered a very good friend of mine. I do apologise.
I tell you what,
to him.
I'm glad they don't have a commentator run it.
Oh, dear.
Because all three of us, I think, would be dragged in that passage of play. Really poor commitment.
So the Panthers, they move on the 5-3 now. The Eagles 4-3, so 33 plays 27. 26, Brogan's moved into ruck. He's up against Neiman again. Working hard in there was Osborne. Gets the ball back to Mills. Mills is high. Damasi's underneath that. Coming through hard, number 10 is Turvey. This the ball to City does. Chips it out forward. A great kick to Hall. Hall around his body. It's high. And another major to the Panthers. And that's Hall's first.
That again is an excellent kick. Natural left footer, but just to be able to take the ball, break, enough time to steady and finish. And we've got a good quality game of football going on, David.
I'll tell you one thing I've picked up. I've watched the Panthers over the last couple of seasons. What I'm noticing at the moment is just quick moving the ball and play on at all costs. You saw there the ball, the mark was taken. Instead of going back for the kick, he just turned and ran towards the big majors and kicked up another goal. Good play by the boys in blue.
They've opened up a 12-point break. It's looking ominous for the Eagles. They have a very good record at home, but South Adelaide are taking this one right up to them. We're 28.5 minutes into the first term. Brogan in ruck for South Adelaide, thumps it down, but Colville read it beautifully. Steals it away from the middle and drives it long towards full forward. Cobb was up, one-handed attempt, couldn't quite bring it down. Matthew Kluzak toe pokes it forward and Talbot goes off the ground, but in doing so, that one's gone out of bounds on the full. And Nick Pesh will take the relieving free kick for the Eagles. Best and fairest of 98. Only 3 goals in the last 3 games. He can be a prolific goal scorer, Nick Pesh. Towards full forward, Neiman at the back. Couldn't quite take the jump to bring it down. Good work over the top of that ball. Knew it couldn't get clear. Fighting hard for it is Matthew Kluzak around the corner. He comes. Knew it on to the left, just forces it around. Chris Kluzak comes banging back, but Cobb was up and Crow was down. Crow was at point-blank range, but I think he might have kicked that one out of bounds on the full. Well, it was a golden opportunity, and Cobb did very well, but so too did Chris Kluzak, who showed great courage and forced the spill.
Yeah, sensational courage there.
Burton nearly pulled down one of his marks we've come used to seeing from the young fella. Allows his teammate in, the high ball up top, but coming out hard again was Cobb. Really is bagging himself aggressively at the football this afternoon. Mills hits the ground running again. They're turning it over very quickly. Quick game of football here this afternoon as we hear the siren to end the first quarter here. And really has been entertaining, Mike. We see the Panthers just hanging on to that 12-point margin.
Yeah, very impressed with the Panthers. First time we've really had a good look at them on a nice dry day this year. And their run from the half-back line, Talbot in particular, just they're getting down there, getting players around the ball and then running it out. They're looking like a team that are going to be competitive right throughout the season.
Yes, as we see the players coming in for a well-earned rest here at the quarter time. And the Eagles there 4-3-27. The Panthers are on 6-3-39. And you're watching all the SANFL action on ABC Sport. So the 25-minute mark of the second quarter, the South Adelaide hold on to 11-point margin. They're 7-6, a 7-point margin, 7-6-48. The Eagles 6-5-41. Ball's kicked out once again. Good work by O'Hara, the youngster, the young 18-year-old. In there also was Morgan, couldn't quite come up with it. The ball comes out again. Great tackling here this afternoon by both sides. Panthers working very hard. Now which direction will we go here? He comes back, unleashes with the left leg. It's high, it's towards the boundary line. Rogers couldn't quite get to it. The ball sits up for Damasi, comes back with a handball to Turvey. Good shepherding by Perry, he allows the ball in there. Crawshay has the sit, takes the front position, pushed off the football, couldn't quite get it. Number 2 is Klein, and he's been good in this first half for the boys in blue. Comes back to Cicarella.
Tate was clever, wasn't he? Flicked it out to Cicarella, who has time for a bounce. Now the Eagles are looking for an option, but South are working hard and getting back into defence quickly, and it is causing some problems for the Eagle forwards as Higgins gives it off to Burton. Kluzak just took a half a fly. Really just wasn't sure whether he was going at that one or not. Crowell, ball under the arm, turns, pushes it into the forward zone. Who wants it? Dillon couldn't take it. Pesh had the ball smothered. South Adelaide are working hard. Higgins turns it around the corner. Bang. It's through. They're back within a point, the Eagles. 26.5 minutes into the second term.
It is turning into a little bit of an arm wrestle. We saw a very open, flowing first quarter. Start of the second quarter, we felt the Eagles had started to get some momentum. And then 2 injuries where we saw 2 visits to the field from the stretcher bearers has really slowed things down. It's turned into a bit of an arm wrestle, but the Eagles get that next vital goal.
(7-5-47). The Eagles behind by 1 point. The Panthers 7-6-48 with 27 minutes into the second quarter. The ball will be bounced up. The lone hand there, the Eagles sitting there by himself. 2 players have gone off this afternoon.
Justin Cicarella, fellas, on the bench.
Yeah, what a handy little play. McKeough running hard, will straighten the body up again. The Birdman nearly got to him. Comes up towards Draper. The back there was Hall. Couldn't quite contain him. Again, Hall comes back. The Birdman ran down hard, takes it, kicks it back along the line. 1-on-1 here. Morgan in front. Good sport from behind by Colville. Oh, over the top was Clonan. Must receive the free kick. It's hurt both players.
Oh, Beveridge has got his knee.
And Clonan would have done the back of his head. The young little tiger, Beveridge, may have just bruised that. He's gone down. He's in extreme pain. Clonan just put the body over the ball. The knees come in the back of the shoulder. They can't afford to lose another player, the Eagles. Is he up? Is he back? Clonan's coming off. Osmond's coming back on.
Clonan showed unbelievable courage. As he's seen, it's been a trademark of his, the young fella. I like the way he plays the game. And he heads to the bunker.
Beveridge is coming off, David.
So the Eagles have 3 injured players. They don't have an interchanged player in reserve. Cicarella comes back on, and Beveridge heads to the boundary for some treatment. Crowell, played by Johnson. Got away the handball. And look at this. Crowell comes again. Losing it was McKeough. But Crowell turns it around the corner. Oh, lost in the sun. O'Hara couldn't quite get there. Matty Kluzak claimed. Gets the kick away. Brogan, the big ruckman for South Adelaide, shows good skills, the big fellow. Off to Threadgold, who's been a live wire in this first half. Tough, courageous and hard tackling. Osmond spent some time on the interchange bench with an ankle injury. Started the game there, in fact, before he actually came on. So a doubt over his fitness. Shirley, back from the Crows, short. Higgins misses it. Merton did pretty well. Morgan runs it through the middle, picks it up on the half volley, and delivers it towards full forward. We're crashing out. Draper feeds off, concedes a little bit of ground. Now they are running. They're running with some passion. South Adelaide, that one goes long.
Perry.
And Perry has put it through on the left foot. Is that who it was?
Yeah, it was Perry, I believe. He's got one already, Davis. That's his second.
Well, he's kicked 2 on the left foot, if you don't mind. One of them was an off break.
Well, he's a left footer.
Yes, but I'm just saying, he kicks them both feet, but 2 rangy long kicks.
That was a long kick, David. That was taken 10 metres outside the 50-metre line. was really looking for a shorter option. There was just no other South Adelaide player inside the 50. And he's good enough to finish the goal. And there's...
Well, that's a good sign of seeing Beveridge. We just see there where he did go down. His knee caught the top of Clonan's shoulder.
Just hyperextended it backwards.
But he's just, yes, but he's up and he's jogging around. Doesn't look like he's stretching out too well, but we'll just wait and see. He's got a bit of time at half-time to be able to get a bit of treatment. As the Panthers kick another one, they're 54, the Eagles 47. Colville goes forward. Can they get, you can see Osmond chasing Colville, not running freely. The ball's high, Talbot goes back with it. They need to force the behind here, the quick kick up. Eagles have the numbers around the football. Crowds in there, gives a handball unselfishly across. 24 coming up with the ball was Newitt. He kicks his first goal of the afternoon. So good reply by the Eagles. They move on to 8-5. They trail the Panthers on 8-6.
Yeah, the quality of this game remains high, and just the weight of numbers around the ball from the Eagles that time ended up with the goal. And a good quick finish from Newitt.
Another left footer. You didn't let me finish before about Perry. I was going to say.
Don't. Leave it alone.
All right, no, you're a bad man.
He's kicked two on his left foot.
14 possessions and 9 this quarter to Crowell. So he is certainly playing a dominant role in the Eagles forward line. O'Hara couldn't quite get it out, but bustling it forward was Cicolella to Pesh. The two Rovers combined pretty well. Turning it around the corner goes Pesh, and underneath this one, good punch forward. Merton crashing it through Turvey. Look to feed it off. Well, he's clever, isn't he? On the left foot. We'll just mention these left footers. And Threadgold. Well, he has played a half of football, this fellow. Just decides to settle it down. It's a one-point ball game. 31.5 minutes into the second term. We've had two players taken off by a stretcher. Perry, will he go on his left foot? No. He handballs it off to Mills, who goes onto his right boot. He's a natural right footer. Forward it goes. Sorry, Mark, I'm taking the mickey out of you. Shirley to Tate. And Tate just looks to, what's the umpire saying? The ball come back. Shirley's got the free.
Yeah, this couldn't quite pick it up. Beveridge still in a fair bit of pain here on the boundary line as he's being treated. Well, looks like the physio just trying to get a bit of mobility back into that knee joint. So as we heard from Dr. Parsons, maybe hyperextended that joint, causing a few problems. Bit of discomfort at the moment. Comes out wide. It's a high ball. Going back is Brogan. Should have taken that, but had the ability. You can see the basketball background. Able to control that football beautifully. Back to Threadgold. Another good kick comes out wide of the captain. Good to see him back, but he still, fellas, just doesn't look fit enough or comfortable enough with the conditions. Come back to Talbot. Again, another left legger sits it up high as we hear the half-time siren here at Woodville Oval. The Eagles trail by one behind. It's been a very entertaining half of football, Michael Parsons.
It has been a fabulous half of football. The game started very open, free running. The Eagles started without a real true centre-half forward, just created a lot of space, and we saw the ball go from one end to the other with great skills. Second quarter came around, the game closed up a little bit. A couple of nasty injuries, and it really has closed up. A one-point margin here at half-time. Turned into a bit of an arm wrestle there the last half of that quarter, and I'm looking forward to the second half. It should be a fantastic half of footy.
So full-time scores here at halftime. See the Eagles on 8-5-53, the Panthers on 8-6-54, and you're watching all the SANFL action exclusively to ABC Sport.
Well, when we promised you an exciting game at the start of the game, I think always we say that with a little bit of blarney, but today we've got one. What a great first half of football it has been from Woodville Oval. A one-point ball game, and the Eagles and South are pretty well matched. The Eagles are sitting third, South Adelaide is sitting fourth. Two new coaches, Paul Hamilton for the Eagles and Greg Anderson for South Adelaide. Great mates from Essendon. What a recipe for a great second half of football. I think there's a fair few things in the mix. So stay with us till 5. I think you'll enjoy it. As Mark Nally's jumped in the chair. Mark, I enjoyed that first half almost as much as you do. I'm a former Eagle. You're a former Panther. I guess this wager today is going to go right down to the line.
For those at home, David and I always have a $10 wager when these two sides play, but I really have been impressed, David, in that first half of football.
I'm retiring on your money, by the way.
The tackling has been outstanding. Well, the Eagles have won the last 6 encounters, I think.
Straight?
It was a straight, so your money hasn't been that good to me lately. But that first half, as I just said, I mean, the tackling really has been impressive. If you sat down and watched those highlights, or that first quarter and that second quarter, it really has been the tackling by both sides. The pressure that has been applied out there, but the conditions here are perfect and just warrants for good football. But a very, very close game, and they tell me just as close at Albion Oval as well.
1 point ball game there. A bit of a blowout up at Elizabeth. If you're wondering about the results out at the Ponderosa, it's a blowout. But at Alberton, it's a tight one. Glenelga 1 point ahead of Port Adelaide. Now, just back to South Adelaide. Greg Anderson has made a huge difference. Where is it fundamentally that he's made the changes?
Well, I'm watching that first half of football. I'm just believing that they're playing a lot like the old Port Adelaide style, where they're moving the ball very, very quickly. They are accountable for a play, which is good to see when the ball has been kicked out from a behind, that they have to man up and they have to have somebody alongside of them, which is good. I mean, it's the type of football that I think the Panthers need to play, but they're just moving the ball on at all costs, and they're using it well. I mean, they've got a lot of tall timber up and forward, with Perry at centre-half forward, also with Crawshay and Brogan shifting from centre, from the forward pocket to full forward, and big Clinton Draper. I think he's kicked a couple of goals so far in this game. He has been quite good as well, but the Panthers playing good football.
Now we might get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way. Have you been onto your net? Have you had a look at our local ABC footy site, Mark?
Well, David, if you want me to build a house, I can do that, but on these computer systems, I'll just leave that to you.
All right, let's go with it. It's local.abc.net.au/SA footy. Now, there's been some interesting... There it is. There's our website. Get your footy tips in, and we will name the winners each week on our show. And I'm looking forward to seeing your name there, Mark Naley. I haven't seen it. I've looked and looked and looked and looked. And also, if you're interested, you can also go and have a look at the SANFL's footy site, the www.sanfl.com.au site. So the SANFL have got one, the ABC have got one, and here's the winners from last week, Mark.
Yeah, it's good to see. We see Duggan there up the top. And I'm led to believe that out of that group of people, there's only a couple of South Australians. So once again, the country people are getting involved. Also, the interstaters are in there as well. But 6 and 6 and 6 up top there really has been good with the highest score there. But best of luck to those people for the remainder of the season.
Fair enough. Now the half-time score here at Woodville Oval shows the Eagles trailing by 1 point. They're 8-5-53. South Adelaide are 8-6-54. And at quarter time, we've got a little bit of an anomaly in the screen, but at quarter time it was a 12-point ball game in favour of South Adelaide. The Eagles needed to dress them down. Now there is a great scoreboard.
Yes, it is. The old Woodville scoreboard here, and just the goal kickers there up to half-time, David. We see Kluzak has 3. He's gone off with that injury. Looked like he's either done his nose or the top of his head. Also, there's Floriani and Higgins, Crowell and Newitt and Stevens have 1 each. And for the Panthers, well, Ian Perry at centre-half forward, he's kicked 2 up to half-time. Also, Mark Damasi, he kicked 2 in that first quarter. Along with Clonan, he really has impressed me so far in this first half. Clint Draper with 1. And Brogan and Hall also for the Panthers with 1 apiece.
Michael Parsons is down on the boundary. I guess the big story of the first half, Michael, was the injuries, the 3 key injuries to Eagles players, starting with Chris Kluzak.
Yes, we saw Chris Kluzak go down. He went for a spectacular fly and came down. I think it was Dean Talbot's head that he hit the back of, and that has resulted in a nasty gash to his forehead and probably a little bit of concussion as well. So not the broken nose that we originally thought, but a very nasty cut to the top of the forehead for Chris Kluzak there, as you see him getting carted off the ground.
Now the other player that the Eagles lost was Mark Stevens.
Yeah, I haven't been able to catch up with Mark Stevens to this point in time, but just by the way he went down and coming off the ground, could even be a broken leg or a severely strained ankle, but he'll obviously take no further part in the game.
Well, he hobbled off, Michael. He just got halfway up and decided to come down. The other one was Andrew Beveridge.
Yes, Andrew Beveridge. We might see him again. Hyperextended that knee, just got caught under the player there. I think it was Conan that got caught under and just bent it back too far. A very painful injury, but they've been working on him ferociously over the half-time break, and we might see a little bit more of Beveridge, who has played a fantastic game up until now, as the second half unwinds. Michael,
we started the game by saying that the Rucks would probably be formidable against each other and would probably go a long way in deciding the outcome of this match. How do you see it at half-time?
Yeah, there's been 4 big men out there going around, a couple of young boys in O'Hara and Brogan, and I really think Brogan has taken been sort of the best all-over performance so far. The other guys out there obviously are Crawshay, who hasn't done a lot, but he's just such a long body. He gets his hand to the ball in the centre bounces. And Neiman probably has done his best work in that second half. He spent a little bit of time on the bench, came on, went to the forward lines, and we saw him take one spectacular mark, but also has added a little bit to the Eagles around the ground. But overall, I'd say Dean Brogan, like myself, an ex-basketball player, has probably been the pick of the ruckman to date.
Thanks, Michael. The other player that's been injured was Andrew Osborne, the South Adelaide skipper, Mark. He went off with an ankle injury, but is back on the ground.
Yes, we played his 100th game of football, going back around about 7 weeks ago. He's been out for 5 weeks with an injury. We see he's playing his 102nd game there, the captain of the Panthers, former Magarey medalist in 1998. He really is a great leader for the Panthers. He really is a good player. They need him back and firing and fit. He just doesn't look comfortable to me this afternoon. He just needs to be able to find the football a bit better. Maybe they're playing him on the football maybe a little bit too early. Could have started him out of a pocket or maybe even half forward flank. But as I said, he's a very important player to the side. And they have impressed me up to half-time, the boys in blue.
Now, for some of our Eagles fans, and particularly our older West Torrens fans, some sad news overnight with the passing of Jim Slavin. Now, for many of you, you'd recall that Jim Slavin, who coached the Eagles in 1964 and 65, I think they were 5th and 8th, and he's passed away overnight. So our sympathies to Mary, and his son Tim is an SANFL umpire, a great tradition in SANFL football. So the Eagles mourn the loss of one of their champion sons overnight as this match prepares to get back underway. The Eagles go to the huddle. South Adelaide reform. It's a 1-point ball game if you've just joined us. The Eagles are 8-5, South Adelaide are 8-6, and it's been a tough, bruising and hard-fought first half with 3 players going off the field, and highly unlikely the 2 of them will return in Chris Kluzak and Mark Stevens. Andrew Osborne injured and Andrew Beveridge with a knee injury for the Eagles is the story of the first half.
Yes, you see there, well, Christopher Kluzak, and you can see him there with his head strapped up. He still has the warm-up jacket on, so no doubt he will come to the bench to start this third quarter. But at least he's up and about. You hate to see players carried off on the stretcher, not come back on. We're just waiting now for the players to get back into position here. But as I said, a 1-point ball game here at Woodville Oval, down at Alberton. We do believe it's a 2-point ball game. 8-3 plays 8-5. And at Elizabeth Oval, well, a bit of a blowout there at this stage of the game. Looks like the boys from Elizabeth are 16-3, and they're playing against West Adelaide on 2-3, so 14-goal margin there. Well, it's getting a bit nippy down here. The sun has just gone behind maybe the clouds, but still perfect conditions for local football. Umpire Darren Ryan, Michael Humphreys and Kate Doddridge have been very impressive in the first half.
So Mike Humphreys about to put the ball down and set them off. Joining me in commentary, Mark Noley and Michael Parsons. Stay with us till 5 on the ABC network throughout South Australia and the Northern Territory. A 1-pointer here at Woodville Oval, and the Eagles have had the wood over South Adelaide the last few years. O'Hara was up and down, Crawshay misses it, but Morgan doesn't. Turvey onto the left boot, and we're talking about the left footers in this South Adelaide side. We counted something like 6 as McCarthy carries the ball across the line. He's now got the job on Perry, so 3 opponents today for Perry.
Just an injury update, gentlemen. Mark Stevens, they've carted him off to hospital just for precautionary x-rays. Looks like he could have broken a leg, which is very bad news. Chris Kluzak back out on the ground, I think, wearing number 18. So just a change of jumper with some blood spilled on that original Guernsey.
Ball comes up, a chance for Mad Dog Morgan to bring a ball home. He puts it high, but it's wide. So another behind to the Panthers. They get the first score. They move now out to 8-7, 2-point margin over the Eagles.
And just to round off the injury count from the first half, it is a gentle game. Mark Beveridge, he's still on the boundary line. The physios are still working on that hyperextended knee, but the word is he'll be seen again if required.
Hauled to the far side. Perry almost took it off. Turvey turns it to Stagg on the left boot. Back from a hamstring injury onto the left boot. And we think he's a left footer as well. And 1 point the result. So we'll put him down. So we've got Chris Hall, Stagg, Perry, Nathan Turvey and Dean Talbot and Peter Johnson, all left footers. What are you feeding them in their water, Mark?
Well, I think it starts with the coach. And I do recall Greg Anderson was a very long, strong left legger. With those long blonde hair. He hasn't changed too much over the years.
Ball again from fullback.
Whistle again, Michael.
Yes, they're just blowing him to bring the ball back in. Osborne, slick to Morgan, who's worked pretty hard. And since Beveridge has gone off, he started to dominate this match. Higgins releases Burton back from the Crows, and the Eagles have welcomed him back today. Crowell also back from the Crows. Second opportunity, second effort was very good. Sikalella also back from the Crows. And underneath one, Dylan Marks about 48 metres out on a tight angle. And he'll fancy his chances because this fellow can kick a ball. He's kicked in recent weeks. I think he only got the one last week against Central, 2 against North the week before that, and 4 against Norwood 3 weeks ago. So he backs himself in, goes for goal, but goes near post and registers a point. We're 2.5 minutes into the third term, and it looks like scores are locked away.
Yeah, you've made a very relevant point, David, in the fact that since Andrew Beveridge has gone off the ground, David Morgan really has started to get a lot more of the ball, and it's going to be pivotal, should I say, what happens in the centre of the ground.
Well, Johnson brings the ball back in. He thumbs it forward. Crowell will get there first. He takes it uncontested, gives the handball over the top to Matthew Kluzak from 45 metres out. Puts it up. Has it come back? I don't think it has. Just the left-hand side of that goalpost. So another score to Matthew Kluzak. Another behind them. Still has them trailing by 1 behind.
Fairly evident both of these new coaches are fairly content on having their players take the ball and play on straight away.
Johnson brings it out to Floriani, who's playing a tough brand of footy today, as he usually does. Turns it deep into the pocket. 2-on-1 contest, but Kluzak was up behind Phil Merton and drags it down. So the policeman. The Eagles are wearing those black armbands as a mark of respect to Jim Slavin, former Eagle player and coach who passed away overnight. So Kluzak, who only has the 1 point just kicked moments ago, well, he threads that one through. It's a training drill. He's done it 100 times at Woodville Oval, and that one right through the middle puts the Eagles back in front.
I think you're right, David. That'd be the training drill. That's the pocket closest to the Eagles' change rooms. Matty Kluzak would walk out there 10 minutes early for training and just pick up a couple of balls and kick it from there every night. He's a good player. He's a good, strong body, and I just loved his attack on the ball. And he really does provide the target up there in this very open Eagles forward line.
Well, the Panthers' last 2 kick-ins have been resulted in the Eagles been returning the ball. First through Crowell, and then we just saw Floriani. The ball's bounced back in again. O'Hara up against Crawshay. Mills takes it one hand and needs to throw the ball in the boot. He does that. Goes up. Bit of indecision there by the 2 Panthers. The free kick has been found and should go back to Mark Damasi. Damasi looks to give the handball to the running Turvey. Turvey's still out there by himself. He needs to get the ball in. Good lead up forward, looking for Big Dean Brogan. Brogan would jump at this 3 deep, couldn't quite take it. Again, the Eagles have players front and centre. Ball goes over the top, was intercepted there by Mills. Mills, quick ball. The Panthers have 2 here. Tape is just shepherded out very intelligently there by number 15, Ashley Manuel. And the mark is taken and should result in a goal.
Yeah, very well done by Manuel. Just recognised that there was 2-on-1. Just stood between his man and the ball. Good team discipline.
Liam Perry kicked one on the first, one on the second.
Both with his left foot.
And both with his left foot, as David Mackay told us. And brings up his third. So a good goal there by Perry. A quick one again, reply to the Panthers.
The signs are all there that this game is going to continue at the frenetic pace that we saw in the first half. It's been a good quality game of football. Both coaches giving their instructions to play on at all costs. And it's resulting in very open, fast-flowing football. And when those skill errors stay out of the game, we saw a couple creep in the second quarter. It makes for excellent viewing.
9-7 to 9-8, 1 point ball game yet again. 6.5 minutes into the third term. O'Hara up against Crawshay. It was Mills who got the hurried Kick out of the middle. Thumped away by Rogers. It goes to ground. Floriani holds his line. Feeds it off in turn to Higgins, who has Colville running hard.
Good tackles.
Well, Newitt went hard at it. So too did Floriani. Floriani crashed through. Newitt's in a supportive role, but Pesh picks it up. Delivers it to Burton. Steadies. And delivers long towards goal. And he's put it right through. So Burton gets his first. And it's 1-for-1. It's a shootout at Woodville Oval.
Yeah, Burton's pretty impressive in that first quarter. He is named at centre-half forward, and then he's played really ruck-roving role all day. Got a lot of possessions in that first quarter, and then we saw Turvey move on to him, somebody that can run with him. Controlled him, I think, a little bit through that second quarter, but just managed to get himself out by himself there, and he's got some good skills. I think the confidence is starting to come up again for Burton, and we'd love to see him back in those AFL colours.
I just wouldn't mind you watching Crawshay on this. He does stand very, very close to where the umpire bounces, where O'Hara does jump at it. A good tap down. Not quite sure he got the hand of the football then, but he gets it back to O'Hara. They go forward again. The Eagles are out front. Good mark by Cobb. Should be paid.
Now, he won the best and fairest last year, Mark. He had a pretty good year in a year when the Panthers struggled.
Yes, he did. He was a very good Cobb. We see Johnson running from fullback. This releases the Panthers again. Clonan just at centre-half forward. The umpire has paid the mark. Thought about it for a moment. That was Palmer who released it. Gives it now back to Morgan. Morgan just concedes out of his eye that a good lead up forward by Manuel. And Ashley Manuel takes a mark out in front of his eyes.
And again, we see it's Morgan who's just run around the back. Got the easy possession, but he's working hard, and he has been let off his leash a little bit since Beveridge has sat down.
Doesn't kick a lot of goals, this fellow, though, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Another left footer.
Another left footer, so you can tip him down. As the ball come back, and some flags waving behind the goals, which indicates to me another major it is. So that's his first for the afternoon, and another reply to the Panthers.
We haven't seen a lot of this man, Ashley Manuel, but that's his third goal in league football in 14 games, I think. So he'll be pretty pleased with that. And a nice, long left foot kick, David.
We love those left footers. So Ashley Manuel, who just played 5 games last year for the solitary goal. And they're stretching is Chris Kluzak on the boundary line for the Eagles. So he looks like he could come back on. Crawshay takes it out of ruck, couldn't quite dispatch it forward. Newitt just manhandles him. Mills gets it forward. Here comes Colville, hard at the ball as he usually is. Tries to handball it off to Gallagher, commits his body to the contest. Over the top of it, Burton couldn't quite get there. Higgins comes in to lend some support, but Clonan was very good for South Adelaide, and the crowd enjoyed the contest.
Yeah, Colville's just a dog's body, isn't he? He's just hard and he's at the football. That second effort there just held the ball in the area.
We saw Beveridge just throwing away the warm-up jacket. No doubt he'll be back on soon again. We see the Panthers are in there. Turvey quickly over the body. Coming back hard was Damasi. Clonan again at the ground. Does that well. Round his body. Who's up forward? From behind was Brogan. Second effort needs to be good. He uses his body well. But just as well there is McCarthy. Thumps the ball further afield to Floriani. The handball's missed the target. Floriani realised the mistake. Dived over the top of the football. Again, Clonan's in there. Just needs to pick the ball up and punch it forward. He does that. Perry back to Brogan. Oh, desperation over the top. Perry, left leg, sends it up high. Up there is Manuel. Who's he with? Couldn't quite get it. Mills again. Back down to Manuel. Manuel over his right shoulder, left shoulder. He think he kicked his second. He has. Oh, too much pressure. Too hard to call this game.
Sensational football. Both teams just hard at the ball. And little Clonan, he was just really at it. He got his hand on the ball 4 or 5 times in that session of play. He really has shown something today. He's in and under. And Ashley Manuel very, very pleased to be kicking his second goal within a minute.
Well, Draper came off there at half-time. He's gone to the bench. Manuel's come on and gone the full forward against Hall. We've only played, what, 11 minutes into this third quarter, and Manuel's already kicked 2.
7-point ball game favouring the Panthers. A model of persistence. O'Hara thumps it down the throat of Cicolella. Burton couldn't get clear. That's a throw, no question about it. Turvey just threw that one out, and the umpire says no, there's a push in the back.
Mills has done some hard work in this third quarter. He's got a couple of centre square balls out of there. He really is working hard.
It's his trademark, isn't it, Mills? State player, Big fly from behind Tate, brings it down. Hall dives on top of it. Clonan wraps him up and forces a bounce. The ball's inside the South Adelaide 50-metre arc yet again.
Yes, ball has been at that end of the ground just about all this quarter. Momentum starting to swing to South Adelaide, and they're going long looking for Dean Brogan and Ashley Manuel in that full forward line.
O'Hara again for the Eagles. Dead heats it with Brogan. Clone is very good. Mark Naley likes this young fella. And in other matches, Mark, you'll like this score.
No doubt. We'll go down to Albert and Oval first. No, we won't go down to Albert and Oval. Our direction has been thwarted once again. But we're inside 50 for the Panthers. As we see Cicarella to relieve a little bit of pressure. It comes out to Burton. He really has been impressive this afternoon. Found a fair bit of space. Cicarella runs on. Staggs with him. Comes back inside. Mark taken by Morgan to ground. A fingertipper going to ground was good. It's good to see him. He was also had a few injuries last season. Reduced his field time no end. Perry, the booming left leg. Let's see him release one. Thumps it up. Crawshay's there. Clonan's there with him. Again, Crawshay at the top. Gallagher for the Eagles just gives the ball out. McCarthy's in there. Solid work done. Good tackle from behind. Looked like Turvey. Clonan, when he won't pick him up, gives it back to Perry. Perry wants to back himself. Gives a handball. It wasn't good again. Clonan's in there. Also Osborne. Over the top was Aussie. Heads towards Damasi. The Eagles back there through Gallagher. We'll give it back to Rogers. He'll settle things down and no doubt hit a jumper with his possession. He does that. He finds Burton. Burton down the wing. The kick's good. Is out in front of Crow. Crow very strong out in front of Cobb. Takes a good mark. He's got a player in board in Colville. Heads in that direction. Colville now needs to use the ball well. He kicks it high. Coming out is Matty Clusack. He's got a yard on Merton. And that's all he needed was Matthew Clusack. He's kicked one. Will line up for his second.
Yeah, South Adelaide just getting a little bit disorganised there. I'm not sure who's on Burton. He ran around without a direct opponent for a little while. Same with Colville. Was actually left the big Simon Crawshay to try to pick up some of those runners.
So Matty Clusack from 48 unleashes it. The distance won't be a problem. The accuracy, I don't think is a problem either. That's his second, and the Eagles just hit back.
Yeah, South Adelaide just need to take some time, get that magnetic board out, work out who's standing who. It won't take it, or at this level, doesn't take very long for some disorganisation to really kill you on the scoreboard. So it'll just be interesting to see who stands up next to Colville and Burton when the ball goes down to restart the play.
14.5 minutes played, third term. 73 plays 74. A tight one at Woodville Oval with plenty of action to come. Stay with us till 5 o'clock. As O'Hara from the right, the young 18-year-old ruckman for the Eagles, opposed to Crawshay, the 25-year-old veteran for South Adelaide. O'Hara wins the tap. It goes forward. Over the top of it, Higgins. Floriani forces it forward. Just sheer will. Crowell fights hard for it. Dispossessed. Crawshay feeds it out. Turvey forward. Oh, Osborne was taken high. That'll be a free.
The umpires play the advantage here. Osborne was taken high. The umpires called it on. Up again, Perry. Great contest now, and McCarthy's been put on him. It really has been a good contest there at centre-half back and centre-half forward, respectively.
Well, the Eagles have got through and out injured, Mark, and it's just unsettling them a little in defence.
Crawshay knocks it into his direction. Good tackle from behind, but Rogers just breaks it. Floriani needs to get the ball on quickly. He does that out in front of the Cicarella. Should take it. Saw Pesh, didn't use him. Finds Colville inside. He'll be taken by Morgan. Gives it back to Cicarella. Cicarella, what will he do this time? He's going to play it loose by himself. Matty Clusack wants to run into the space. Over the top there. Great mark by Jason Dillon.
Cicarella just has so much time with the ball, doesn't he?
Well, he does. He's also found a bit of space. The ball comes back to him. They didn't gain a great deal of yardage there. Still, the ball will be kicked from around about 49. On about a 45-degree angle. Cicarella yet to kick a goal this afternoon. Has 19 career goals. Puts it up high. I think he's brought that back beautifully. So the Eagles are back in front. They move on to 12-7, 79. The Panthers 11-8, 74.
Yeah, Ciccarella has got excellent skills. He's just got that time to steady and look around, that Darren Jarman sort of approach to football. There he is. Just come this way, go that way, let me put it, lace out somewhere. And in this case, picked out Jason Dillon and then got the ball back.
I know Ciccarella, Michael, is working on his goal kicking. I think just a few weeks ago he played 18 games for something like 13 goals. And a good rover really is a 1-for-1 average. It's 12-7 to 11-8 on the ABC scoreboard. The Eagles break to a 5-point lead, but there's not much in it as these two sides are going hammer and tongs. Colville, first man there. Can he chip it up? Dillon crashes through with pace, turns it around the corner. That's exciting and explosive, but he's missed. What a team lifter that would have been if that one had gone through.
Yeah, that momentum would have swung right across to the Eagles then. But just go back to in the middle of the ground, the bounce down. Crawshay, it's 3 times in a row he's tried to take the ball out of the air, and I'm not sure that your teammates know what's going on when you try to take possession.
The kick in this time by Threadgold heads towards Crawshay. He'll have 2 players to contend with. The Eagles will have just put the foot to the floor now. They'll just increase the tempo, resulting in a lot of forward thrusts inside 50. And again, they'll set it up. Lovely kick by Jason Dillon finds Nicholas Pesh.
And this bloke can kick a football. I think I'll put my 20 cents on the table right now and say, Nick Pesh.
So we talk about Ciccarella. This guy averaged almost 2 goals a game last year. Ciccarella didn't quite average 1.
So Nick Pesh, again, the training drill, put it out there, wanting it to come back. The ball has gone through for a behind. It has. So a 7-point margin now favours the Eagles.
Just on that point, David, it's always a good advantage for a coach, isn't it, if you know that you're going to get 3 or 4 goals from your resting on ballers when they move forward.
And look, Ciccarella is a professional, and that's one area he's really working on. You can see the improvement in his game. Cobb, hasn't he improved over the last few years? Dominated for South Adelaide last year, and he's doing pretty well today. It's been a great battle with Crowell. This one, Colville, flicks it out the back door. Tape. Enjoyed having him back. Burton. Well, he's worked hard for every possession today. It's been a terrific effort from him. Gallagher hasn't seen much of the ball, but is working hard. And now Beveridge, who went off in the second term with a knee injury. 50 out and closing, goes towards goals, and it's offline. And again, the Eagles are starting to pepper the goals. There are some dangerous signs for South Adelaide.
Very much so. The run from South Adelaide, you can still see it in their minds, but just the skills have fallen apart as they've moved onto that half-forward line. Perry's been good there, but they just need him and Brogan to stand up now and take a couple of marks and get a real attack on goal to slow down the momentum.
Well, they realise that Threadgold is aiming the ball towards Crawshay. They've got Burton and Crowell sitting alongside. This time, the message must have gone out. As Threadgold goes over the top with a handball to Cobb. Cobb can't see anybody up forward, so just goes to the big kick. Rogers nearly takes a great mark there. Coming across was Crowell. Great tackle by Damazi. Results in the ball to be bounced up at the 20-minute mark of this third quarter.
I don't know that I've ever seen a side tackle as well as South Adelaide have today.
Very, very good point, David. They have been at the ball and at the man relentlessly.
Gallagher takes it out of ruck. Handballs it into space. Floriani can charge at it. Taken by Mills. Another good tackle. Morgan just thumps Higgins off the ball. Rogers. Floriani. Head over the ball. Gallagher. Rogers combining pretty well. And into space it drops on the left boot. And underneath this one, Matty Kluzak marks right on the chest about 48 metres out. He kicked one from almost the same spot about 4 or 5 minutes ago. So Matty Kluzak. His best return this year was 3 goals, 1 against North. 32 goals in 97 to top the club, so he knows how to kick them. But that one is another point, so he has 2 goals too. And looking pretty dangerous. Jimmy Dean. There he is. Good on you, Jimmy. South Adelaide champion, Mark.
Oh, definitely. A 3-time Magarey medalist. He really is a great man for the game. Former ABC employee as well. Shirley up with the football, comes back. Somehow he's found Matty Kluzak.
It's a good kick too.
And you're going to sense the Panthers, their work rate has just slackened off. It's allowed the Eagles to get a bit of run. Look, we've got a player inside. He's screaming for the football. He's still waving his arms in the air. But no, Crow, 4 steps, puts the ball high. Again, another behind to the Eagles.
Crowell's played a great game today. He really has provided some aerial strength across that half-forward line. In that case, he had a short option. Chose to go long. But didn't quite have the accuracy. And a couple of South Adelaide players now, Mark, just starting to stand with their hands on the hips as fatigue sets in.
Oh, you see players running hard out of Burton. Eyes only for the football. Same with Perrier. And we come down. Tate will be favoured by the bounce. Just one hand, pulls it back in, then unleashes it with the left, goes up high, front of the pack there. Looks like Martin's come on. He takes a good overhead mark under a fair bit of pressure. So Martin needs to get the ball back in quickly. Heads towards Crawshay with the kick. At the back will be Tate. He'll jump, sets, maybe hands in the middle of the back. Didn't quite get there. Osborne's tackled as he's kicked it. Clonan's in there as well. Mills just trying to pick the football up. Crawshay does well. Back to Turvey. Turvey steps around one player from 55. Goes to the long left leg. But just couldn't quite control it enough. So it's 3-3 that have been kicked this quarter to the Panthers. I think it's 4-7. So 7 behinds to the Eagles.
Crawshay just been a little bit disappointing today. He just has been in position a number of times to take a mark and just been pushed out. But this is one area South Adelaide have been very good at, just holding up the options from the kick-ins.
Stephen Hall, well, that kick was a shocker. Mills just could have grabbed it and kicked it back over the fullback's head. Higgins dragged off it by Mills. Crawshay hard at the ball, and Higgins working hard is forced to bounce. So it is tough out there, and we're almost at three-quarter time, and the players are still going at full throttle. And in the match at Alberton between Port and Glenelg, it's Port fighting back just by 2 points. Central by 64 points over West at Elizabeth in the other match. Tate, safety first, head straight to the boundary line.
And there was definitely no intent in that one, was there?
So Chris Kluzak, wearing the number 18 jumper, comes back on, replacing Brett O'Hara, who's done a wonderful job today in ruck for the Eagles. Floriani forces it out to the corridor where Tate streams through the middle, drills it in low to Crowell, who just missed it at knee level. Beveridge applies the tackle. Play on, said the umpire. And Gallagher streaks away on the left boot. Well, the kick just wasn't quite balanced. Chris Kluzak comes hard at it. Matty Kluzak tries to get it back, but good defensive work on that occasion from Dean Talbot, and the ball's across the line yet again.
Yes, the momentum of the game now firmly with the Eagles. They really are generating some run out of a half back line that's not letting the ball penetrate further.
Ball's again put back in. Ground level, looked like Beveridge gives the handball back. Good work by Talbot. Threadgold bounces one forward. This finds Cohen. He's got the ball to boot quickly. He does that. Grandstand wing again. The direction wasn't good. Ends up with Andrew Rogers. Rogers quickly gets the ball moving. Number 2, David Neiman, kicks the ball up high. Chris Kluzak flies at it, couldn't take it. Crash of plays there between Gallagher and Burton. Johnson gets to his feet quickly. Back to Perry. Now Perry gives the ball across to Hall. Hall runs with it. Another left legger down the line. Look for Crawshay. Again Clonan. That time he nearly took it. He's a little bit too quick for himself. The quick kick forward. Sees the ball out of bounds to the boundary line. Will be thrown in. You see the player there in Crawshay just having a rest at centre half forward. Big Dean Brogan's moved in to take over ruck duties.
Brogan is 26, Neiman 2 for the Eagles. It's Neiman who almost took the ball out of the ruck, paddles it forward over the top of that Osborne, was it?
Yep, looks like Aussie.
And Burton's got him. So Aussie in the thick of things, the South Adelaide skipper, left shoulder heavily strapped, left ankle heavily strapped.
And the hamstrings screaming at him at the moment.
Yes, you can see those bike shorts worn under the shorts, just keeping a little bit of warmth around the hamstring. So, well, we know he's got plenty of courage, and he's showing it all today. Neiman thumps that one down. Osborne picks it up, drives it forward. Good defensive work with Shirley, going very hard at it. Over the top, Beveridge misses it. Shirley covers back. The kick was smothered, short to Gallagher. Now it's Rogers, the skipper. The 35-year-old, just with the poise of a teenager. Over the top he goes. Mills was good. Gallagher roves it. And onto the left he goes. Towards centre half forward. Dillon out. Pesh down. Roved. Claimed by Threadgold. But it's Colville who turns it around the corner. And the goal umpire goes galloping and says, fellas, that's a point. So you just see the intensity out there, Mark, on the field.
Yeah, you can see there, 12-13, 85. A 10-point margin now to the Eagles. The Panthers 11-9, 75. So really, in the shots of goals in this quarter, I think there's been 8 behinds to the Eagles. They just conferred a few of those. They may have gone in at three-quarter time with the handy margins. 10 points at the moment. It really is going to be a good last quarter of football. I just believe the wind's also picked up, David, and is favouring the northern end here at Woodville Oval. It's a high kick. Burton has a set. Couldn't quite get the fly. The free kick has been paid. It will come back to Brogan. I think Michael Parson, he's holding his neck, holding his back. So may have got a knee in that counter.
Yes, I think just the fly from Brett Burton put the knees in the back of Dean Brogan. He's got up though and laid off the handball, so he's fine.
Burton threw that one away. That's a throw. Good tackle applied. Perry was the tackler, winning the free kick. Looks further afield, into space it goes.
Oh, good mark.
Well, a good fly, wasn't it? And that was Stagg. So Andrew Stagg, who's also had a hamstring injury, puts it towards centre forward. Damasi up, Rogers down, Gallagher picking up plenty of possessions now. So too is Cicolella. He's really finding his range, Cicolella. And look at the Eagles run. Colville, who's looking so fit. 2 bounces, 3 bounces.
Go inside 50.
He can go inside 50 if he wants and have a shot for goal, but he kicks it long from 60 to the point of the square, and it's a beautiful kick, and it's picked out Chris Kluzak, who marks right on the line.
Gee, plenty of space there, Michael, running through the middle. We've seen it a couple of times this quarter.
Yes, it's just that it's that thing that all the coaches are after, the confidence that you run forward of the play, but as soon as the change of possession occurs, you've got to work back the other way. And the Eagles were first to do it on that turn.
So Kluzak right on the three-quarter siren, kicks his 4th goal, and just gives the Eagles a little bit of breathing space. They lead by 16 points at three-quarter time, Michael, and you've got to suggest that at half-time, South Adelaide looked like they were capable of running away with it, but one side was going to crack, and perhaps South Adelaide have just eased off a little.
Yes, just those couple of injuries maybe to the Eagles players refocused their mind, but the Eagles really did do some damage there across their half-back line. They were impenetrable, and when the ball hit the ground, it was their run back the other way through. Even the veterans in Andrew Rogers just supplying the run, and they've got a forward structure that's very open and supplied the Kluzak boys with some great opportunities to get the score on the board.
So at three-quarter time here at Woodville Oval, the Eagles are 13-13, 91. South Adelaide are 11-9, 75. You're watching all the SANF action live and exclusive to ABC Sport. 16 points the margin at three-quarter time at Woodville Oval. I think you'll enjoy the final quarter too. It's been a great game so far as Mark Nayley rejoins us. Mark, I thought in that third term the Eagles' forward structure started to work for them, and you just think about their little fellas. Cicolella started to find the ball, Higgins started to find it, and Gallagher, who'd been out of the game in the first half, really came into the match.
Yeah, one play you missed there was also Andrew Rogers here with Gallagher and also Cicolella, I believe, from that half-back line and through the middle, also with Colville working hard. We saw Ashley Mills for the Panthers start that third quarter. He was in and under, he was trying to get the ball out of there, but just couldn't convert up forward. And really the Eagles, with their shots at goal, I mean, they kicked something like, I think it was 5 goals, 8. They really could have gone in with a 30-point margin there, not 16 at, at three-quarter time. They really did waste a lot of opportunities.
3 goals, 3 to South Adelaide. They weren't disgraced.
Yeah, they did well. I mean, they battled pretty hard, but you just sense that all of a sudden the Eagles just put the foot down on the floor a little bit harder, and they ran a little bit harder, and the South Adelaide players were chasing jumpers there for a little while. But to the Eagles' credit, they were beaten last week by Centrals home here, and really, I mean, their backs were to the wall today, and they really had to come out hard. It's been a great game up for the first half. That third quarter, well, it was tough and tight, but as I said before, just towards the end there, I just believe that the wind is favouring that northern end in which the Panthers will be kicking to in this last quarter.
I think there's a little bit of hope there, isn't there? I don't think there's much breeze at all at Woodville Oval.
Oh, there is. I'm sure, down at ground level, as we will see, Michael Parsons down there, that you will notice that there is a bit of breeze favouring that area.
What about Brett Burton?
Well, he's this exciting player. We loved watching him last season. He went up to the AFL and he was, nearly won the Norwich Rising Star of the Year award with his sensational marking ability and very athletic. I mean, he's just been able to cover the ground. And what's impressed me today is that he's picking up kicks on the half-back line and he's working hard through the centre. And he's also up forward, just giving him an option when the ball does come in that direction.
What about Ashley Manuel? He came on for South Adelaide, made a bit of an impact at full forward for the Panthers.
Well, Draper, he did a good job. Draper, we had one up to half-time, but Manuel's come on, replaced him up against Hall, just one-on-one here with Hall. Manuel just picked it up, a bit lucky there with the bounce, snapped it over his shoulder, and that was his second goal in that third quarter.
Now, we mentioned about Justin Cicolella, how he started to find the ball and really attack for the Eagles. I think he was one of the key players that got them back on top.
Well, his start of the season was sensational. We saw him early, David. He was good, and then he went up to the Crows for a couple of games. He's back this afternoon just to get a bit of game time, as they call it, the AFL coaches. And we just see here, Cicolella just pushed the ball out to the right goalpost and then just brought it back nicely. And that was his first goal for the game.
Well, you talk about South Adelaide, you look to where they're going to get a lift. I think we came here today expecting that Brogan, maybe and Crawshay might have a bit of dominance in ruck, but to be fair, Neiman's done a pretty good job, and O'Hara, the young 18-year-old ruckman for the Eagles, I think has played an outstanding game.
We noticed the way they did start up there. I mean, Crawshay does get very close to the umpire, also where the centre circle is, doesn't really have a big jump at it, where O'Hara, he's young, he's only 18 years of age, he does jump pretty hard at the football, and Neiman, well, he's gone back to SANFL football a couple of times there. We just think that he's sort of coming into the game very slowly. But Neiman, I mean, he's the type of player that you can play across half-back. You can play him at full forward, you can play him at centre half forward. But I reckon his best value is right in the middle there in the action, because he's very, very highly skilled player. And he's very, very committed. Now,
the Eagles do have some injury worries. Chris Kluzak went off in the second quarter with a cut to the forehead. It was a spectacular leap, but he went off on a stretcher. Then we saw Mark Stevens go off with what we think is a broken leg. So bad news for the Eagles. He went off on a stretcher as well.
Yes, we saw that, but it's good to see Beveridge come back on, and also Christopher Kluzak. Christopher, I think, kicked the last goal in that third quarter. He's got a very heavily strapped forehead, and I mean, he's kicked 4 goals now into the game. I just think up forward, I mean, Chris Kluzak, when he's on fire, he's a damaging player.
We now go to the Eagles huddle to hear what Paul Hamilton has to say to his players.
What you're willing to do for your teammate?
Paul Hamilton really getting his charges fired up. You can hear him in the background just breaking away now. His basic message was he's pretty happy with what was going on there. Continue to work hard, close the opposition down, particularly across their half-back line. As soon as the ball's on the ground in their the Eagles' half-forward line, get around it, close it down, and don't let the South Adelaide team get their run from their half-back line. Greg Anderson, on the other hand, he was a little bit disappointed with what was happening there. He said it ended up 4-3 in a lot of occasions just then. The South Adelaide players just dropped off their work rate. Get back on it, boys. Get to it and get your hands on the ball and just watch your fumbles. He picked out Clonan, said fumbled a couple of times, spent it before he had it. But really, from Greg Anderson, it was just a matter of getting back focused at the football and working hard to make a game of this last quarter.
Thanks for that, Michael. The players are just getting into position. And we see Andrew Osborne on screen, Gavin Colwell for the Eagles. And Mark, I don't know that you'll see 2 tougher players.
No, a couple of little hard nuts there, but Osborne on the screen there now really has struggled this afternoon. His kicks have really been rushed and forced forward. He's not running freely. He's missed 5 weeks of football, and in those 5 weeks he wouldn't have been able to do the actual leg training work which you would expect if it was an upper body injury or a hand or an arm injury. So he hasn't been doing the miles in the leg. He's really been resting himself up, and really to be thrown back into this contest this afternoon is a pretty big ask for coach Greg Anderson. But I'm looking forward to the last quarter, David, and no doubt you are as well, to see the Eagles can go on with it.
Well, they're 16 points ahead, but I think the Panthers are capable of getting right back into it the way they're playing. So stay with us till 5 o'clock as the outcome of this one becomes known. It's 3rd versus 4th. Neiman from the left and Brogan from the right. Thumps it down for South Adelaide. They'll need the first goal for sure. Osborne gets the kick away. Beveridge, who went off with a knee injury, seems to be okay now. Dishes it out to the skipper in Rogers, who in turn finds Floriani, who's played pretty well today for the Eagles. Forward he goes. No mark taken by Palmer. Loose ball falls. Cobb forces it out. Dillon looked for the free kick. Cobb handballs it away. Martin got a quick one short. Now it's Chris Cluzak. Colville, look how tight it is in the clinches out there. And Cicolella just dragged off the contest. Mills picks it up. The South Adelaide vice-captain. Where's the free kick? The umpire says it's in the back, or was it too high?
Yeah, McCarthy just up a little bit early there. Perry just wanted to have a jump at it and just interfere with him. We see Osmond's, he's run down. He's a tough little character, Andrew Osmond, realising that he has to lead by example. Crawshay's come in, somehow 3 deep, but the umpire must have been touched. Klein, and you won't catch him. As he direction with the ball, he just rushed the kick. Lucky not go out of bounds on the fall, but a first score in the last quarter goes to the Panthers. They move on to 11 goals, 10-76. They trail by 15 points.
Yes, Greg Anderson was just picked out cloning in that 3/4 time huddle for his skills, and he wouldn't be happy to see that one as well.
Ball to Jamie Tate. Tate's been very solid in defence today. Puts in a long ball. Burton did pretty well. Couldn't mark it, so thumped it to the line. It was intelligent. He had a split second to make the decision and chose the right one. He's going pretty well. A recall to the Crows. Imminent, you'd suggest. High-quality player. Neiman thumps it down the throat of Osborne, who releases Turvey. Under pressure from Floriani, the kick's astray. And now it rebounds. Floriani gets a second chance, so he's forced his own turnover, the young man. Now Dillon, who started the game on the bench and has made a bit of a live wire since coming on, forces it forward. But South Adelaide rebound, and they rebound pretty well. Morgan got it from Martin, who got it from Cobb, but look at that. They're wasteful going to their forward line, and that may pay a price.
Yeah, tough. Both players. Michael Lowe's for the football only.
Yeah, no infringement there. I've got my book of the official laws of Australian football, and you wouldn't have found an infringement in that one.
Ball thrown in again. Neiman hand the football in there as Aussies. As I said, realising he has to put in a big effort in this last quarter. The Panthers are going to come home with the 2 points. The crowd's getting involved here, very healthy this afternoon, in the vicinity of around about 4,000. And a beautiful afternoon of football.
And you'd go a long way, Mark, to see a better game than what we've had so far.
Well, last week we had the Tigers and West. It was only a 3-point ball game at the end. At the moment, it's 15 points favouring the Eagles, but the Panthers are not giving up. They're battling hard.
It's interesting that these Eagles have come from 12 points down at quarter time to lead by 16 points at 3/4 time. And South Adelaide have made them earn every kick, mark and goal. And I guess we came here just wondering how good South Adelaide were. They were sitting 4th on the ladder. And we're finding out right here and now, because they're taking the game right up to one of the pace setters of the competition. Neiman thumps it down. Floriani, slick work. Down to Colville, needs support. Sold the dummy pretty well. They're just eking out inches or centimetres and metres, the Eagles, and Burton.
I think Colville realised he should have given the first give to Brett Burton there, and Burton would have been out and running.
Neiman and Brogan. Neiman tries to come from behind, did that pretty well. Cicolella read it superbly, just took off at the appropriate time. He's a class player, this kid, but the kick was poor. Cobb, Threadgold, who's played very well in defence, to Talbot, under pressure. Where's the kick going? It's going to Palmer, who's also been pretty solid today. Just got to like what you see with these young Panther players. They really have a dip. And Rogers, high over the pack, the 35-year-old skipper, and that one finishes across the line for a throw-in.
Absolute legend is the Andrew Rogers, still running around with these young blokes at the age of 35 and playing great football. He's probably the player that makes as few mistakes on a football field as anybody.
Well, Neiman's doing very well in this last quarter, up against Brogan, but with a chance here, Dillon up against Threadgold, goes one way or the other, has time now to come back inside. The ball goes up, Johnson's out front, he needs to take it, he does, and wants to run on with it. He's got nothing on this grandstand wing, heads towards Brogan, Negan's there, but at the back is Aussie. He takes it, starting to find possessions. Andrew Osborne. Left leg, not fully extended, Gallagher's in front, up goes with him was Perry again. Mr. Kelvinator takes it, gives the handball across to Colville. Colville running on hard, kicks the ball up towards centre fold. Up there again as Johnston's time decides to go for the spoil. In there was Kluzak, crushed the Pesh. He won't waste this. The high ball, the sit by his brother Matthews, up and down, nearly took it. The ball was touched. It's over the line for another behind. So back to 16-point margin here at Woodville Oval.
Mark, they've attacked through the centrefold, according to you there. Can you just point out where that might be?
The centrefold.
He's been reading too many Playboys, that Mark Naley, I tell you. Brogan, up and down. Good work by Higgins. Forces it out wide. Beveridge went hard at it, but Palmer, gee, you do like what he does. He is hard at every contest, this kid. Forces it hard and low. Clonan also a newcomer who's an improver and tough.
He has impressed me a little bit today. I think Greg Anderson, again, has pointed out a couple of skill errors. He has made a couple over the course of the day, but he's fast, he's got good evasive skills, and he gets to the fall of the ball.
Neiman down the throat of Colville, a high ball. Who wants this one? Cobb comes crashing forward, thumps it down. Gee, they're just good, the Eagles, aren't they, in close? Rogers got it from Higgins.
Raffle it.
And now Floriani. I was going to say that South Adelaide had hit their handballs pretty well too. Beveridge holds it, releases it, and now it's Matthew Kluzak. 75 out and going long towards his brother in the goal face. Just used his body pretty well, recovers, handballs it out to Pesh. Pesh claimed, well done Johnson. Chris Kluzak with pace, gets away, just looks for some support, gets it, and it's Burton who marks, and will go back and kick for goal from 25 metres out on a very slight angle. And yes, Michael, he thought about it.
He thought about it, yes, no, yes, maybe, no, I'll go back and I'll kick this one. I think one of my instructions, if I was a coach, would be you get a fair shot at goal inside the 50, you slow down, you go back, Burton and you do this.
Burton has one, and another here would really make it difficult for South to come back. The goal umpire has a good look, he puts the two fingers up. The Eagles like it, but look at South Adelaide. They're running back just as quickly to the centre, so they're going to have a crack at taking this one. But the Eagles have some breathing space. 7.5 minutes into the final term.
They've just worked themselves in front in this contest, haven't they? You can see the pressure from South Adelaide. It's still there. They're still getting after it. They're still fair dinkum. But the Eagles, they're a good quality side. And this bloke's had a pretty good day. Turvey, I think, has done a good job running with him all day because we are aware of the aerobic capacities of Brett Burton. I'm pretty impressed with Turvey's effort in controlling him, but Burton is just a quality player.
Back down, 98 plays 76. Again, Brogan goes out at second thump of the football. Again, the reaction of the Eagle players is better than the Panthers, but the Panthers have come up with a football across the line and needs to go over the top. A goal here would be handy. The kick's on its way.
Stagg.
By Stagg. And it's a major.
Oh, it's Hall. Sorry, you're right.
Sorry, Chris Hall.
If we go wind that tape back and have a look at that again, you'll see Mark Beveridge running with the fly of the ball towards his goal. Called his man in to come and pick up the ball. You watch him now, he calls his man in, and he didn't get there. John McCarthy, I think, beaten by the leg break. Then it all unwound, and South Adelaide got a reasonably easy shot on goal.
98 plays 82, 16-point ball game. South Adelaide bring themselves back into contention. Almost 9 minutes gone in the final term. And in ruck, it's Brogan from the right, opposed to Neiman from the left. Dead heat, that one. Brogan's second effort was better. Thumps it forward. Turvey over the top of it. Beveridge tries to thump him down. And South Adelaide right on the 50-metre line. Osborne on the left boot, into space it goes, and Crawshay's marked. He's about 40 metres out, and the angle's not tight. It's certainly kickable.
You'll have to tell me if he's going to kick this one, Mark. It seems to be a reasonable distance out for the big fellow.
Well, he's over 6'5", and you know my theory on anybody that high. Their brain's too far away from their feet.
We'll see you after,
This could
Mark.
go anywhere.
Well, let's ride it home. Good camera shot. And the goal umpire goes galloping. Not a good sign. But it's a goal. Well, there was no crowd reaction at all, and none even from Crawshay. But the goal umpire had a sense of the theatrics, didn't he? And still whacked up the two fingers. And that's his first.
And Simon Crawshay, it's good to see him take a mark overhead. He has been a little bit quiet today around the ground, but this is a good grab and a good enough finish for the big man. We've talked before today, it's important that a coach can get 3 or 4 goals from his resting on ballers, when Crawshay has supplied one right there.
What do you reckon, Mark? You're a South fan. Was this a goal?
Well, we're right behind it up here in the grandstand. Didn't look like it from here, but the last 2 forward thrusts have occurred by Brogan. Double-hitting second effort of the football. This time the Eagles go forward. Pesh runs off the wing, takes it, unleashes it with a lovely kick up towards Christopher Cluzak. Couldn't take it. Crowd's over there with Johnson. Johnson needs to go at this. Cobb comes at Pesh again. Pesh won't waste this football. Can see a player out of the corner of his eye. It's high. Who can mark it? No players. It's down again. Burton's in there. Goes to the handball wide to, looks like, come out to Cicarella. With him is Threadgold. Going to ground. Should never do that, big fella, was Brogan. Allows Burton to stand and deliver, but couldn't deliver quite well enough. It's another behind, 11-point margin now to the Eagles. We played 11 minutes into this last quarter.
Still impresses me the structure and discipline of this attacking Eagles side. When they go forward, it just comes back into that centre corridor every time.
Yes, they just don't play it wide, do they? They don't know the word wide. Higgins inboard, Floriani, Beveridge. Look for the free. The umpire wasn't falling for it. That one was a throw, by the way. Either way, South Adelaide get it clear. Their vice-captain in Mills. Run down by Crowell. The kick goes forward into space. Shirley. Osborne steals it away, distributes it wide to Turvey. He's 48 and then closing. He can line him up and drill it. And that's exactly where he goes, but sprays it to the left. Well, they get a point when a goal would have been inspirational.
They are the key turning points in a game. Key turning points in a game when you get the run right from the back line and just miss. You just can't afford to make those mistakes. And Simon Crawshay expressing his disappointment there.
Neiman's there by himself. Player out wide of Steele, so they have a loose player down on the outer side to the Eagles. Slowing things down. A goal there would have been very interesting, to say the least. But again, the Eagles now, they'll punch the ball down. It's good kick. Rogers is there, has the sip. Well, Marcus didn't take it. You don't see that happen too often. Ball comes in again. The chance for the Panthers. Perez out wide. The big thumping kick. Where is he? He'll jump at this, going back with the flight of the football. It's still in. Who can take it? The umpire has indicated that it has gone out over the line and will be thrown in the forward pocket for the boys in blue.
Stephen Hall on screen with Ashley Manuel. Manuel's kicked a couple. Draper just got the one, so he's only had the 3 goals kicked on him today, the fullback. And yet again doing his job and named in the state squad.
He's always there, isn't it? He's just got a whole defensive approach to his game, and very rarely does he have a bag full pinked on him. Now you look at him, you think, oh, he's a bit slow, he's not quite good enough overhead, but he's just a very good fullback.
Neiman thumps it down. Dillon goes after it. Turvey also. Colville for the Eagles. A desperate kick of sorts, and Cobb thumps that one away from Crowell. Now that's been a good battle today, Cobb and Crowell.
Yeah, Crowell, I was very impressed with the way he played that first half of football. He just moved around, he's a big man, and he had a lot of marks across that half-forward line in the first half of the game, and he's continued on. A good 4-quarter performance.
Again, the ball's in. Brogan up against Neiman. Neiman only got his hands to the football over the top. 32 for the Panthers as Hall couldn't quite get rid of it.
Love your comment, Michael, about Neiman in ruck. It's gone pretty well today.
He is. You can feel he's just working back into it. He's got a great body. He's got good skills. He's probably been a bit quieter than he should have been over the last couple of years, but if he just gets it together, you think he's going to be a very important player for this team.
Chance of the Panthers again. Ball's knocked forward towards Osborne. Beveridge goes with him. He needs to get the handball out. The play was taken high there in Beveridge from Osborne. It's a high ball, one-on-one. Who will take this? Neither player in there is Threadgold. He needs to take this and get rid of it quickly. He does that. Needs to go over the top now. The kick, number 10, Turvey, gets rid of it. It's high. Who's up there? Players pushing and shoving. In front was Osborne, starting to come to the fore. Back to Turvey. Turvey goes around. Nearly got the handball through. Gallagher takes it. He goes forward with a handball to Pesh. Pesh will go over his shoulder. He doesn't. Comes down the line to Colville. This releases Colville. He'll run with it hard. Takes 2 bounces. Takes 3. Can go for 4 if he wishes. Cluzak, a beautiful lead. No, should have taken it. Couldn't. This allows the Panthers defence to sit on top of the football.
You just wonder, Mark, whether his vision is affected. Chris Cluzak got a terrible, sickening knock on the head, carried off on a stretcher in the second quarter, and he hasn't taken a clean mark since.
This is the Eagles' game. So this is what I like about them. They're coming down the flank, and then the leads come right down the middle of the ground, and they centre it up as they cross the 50-metre line.
32 was Chris Hall, applying a tackle on Ben Higgins. And in other matches around town this afternoon, it's Port by 26 points over Glenelg, and Central by 69. Well, Mark Naley was looking for 72 points plus in the Hansi Cronje tipping. Pesh around the corner, and it's Floriani. Well, he's played a pretty good game today too, Floriani. And he'll kick for goal.
He's an excellent player. He's got great skills, and he works himself so hard. He's got a good aerobic capacity.
Now he's kicked one already. And he did get one last week against Central. So he knows how to kick a goal. Gives himself plenty of time, resets. And this is an important one. But a point.
Shouldn't miss to the left-hand side. Get it over there, aim at the right-hand post. That's what young Michael Noonan taught us. And since that time, I take a lot of notice, and I'd love to see the averages over the years of how many missed to the left-hand side.
Ball subbed back in by Johnson. It's a high ball. Brogan's in. He's got to present himself. He does. Gets his hand on the football. In there was Morgan. Quickly gives it across to Mills. They're running in numbers again. 32 coming through. Looked like Hall. He does. The ball was delivered poorly up forward.
Bad sign for South Adelaide. Then Hall looked for somebody running past, and there was two players standing behind him with hands on hips.
Dillon looks for Kluzak. It's a high ball. South had the numbers at the back. Johnson, well, the ball was done well there by Kluzak to knock it, to keep it free. This might allow them to be able to bring inside. It does. Six working through hard there was Higgins. Gave it across to Dillon. Dillon's grabbed as he kicks it. Oh, the mark missed again by Brogan. Tackling hard. He swung, maybe holding the football. The umpire calls play, and it's out wide. 30 should take this and slow it down to Stagg. Stagg up towards Clonan. The little Terry who's out in front overruns the football, allows Beveridge in. He comes back inboard to Neiman. Neiman can spot. He does and finds Pesh. The Eagles just hanging on to this football. Still 11 points favouring them. Beveridge has worked in beautifully. Just presents himself. The kick is perfect. Takes him inside 50. Another opportunity to bring up a major.
Got to admire this bloke. He's taken one of the nastiest hits on the head you've seen in a game of footy, and he's come back and he's presented himself since he's been on the ground, running at the ball.
Christopher Kluzak has 4 for the afternoon. 4 goals, 2. As my friends tell me, and it's high. That straightens up nicely for Kluzak. That's his 5th. The smile comes on the face. The headache is gone. I hate to say it, but I think the Eagles are home.
Well, if you're that content, hand over your money. I think there's a fair way to go. 18.5 minutes gone. And South Adelaide have been good enough to draw back these sorts of deficits. I still think there's life in this match, but the Eagles are just making it a little safer.
Yeah, the Eagles giving themselves a little spread now, but that wind is starting to creep up. Favours South Adelaide. This is a test of character for them. 17
points the margin, so 3 straight goals to South gets them a win if they can hold the Eagles scoreless from here. Brogan still working hard. Damazi, whose first half was pretty good. From 60, he goes long towards goal. It's going to be short. Ball and manual push, and it's off hands and through for a point. So it's back to 16 points, but a goal there, Mark, might just yet again have turned the tide.
There's time on their side. They're running 19 minutes, so it's good. At least maybe 9 to 10 minutes football left in this game. That's a chance to kick 3 or 4 goals. And the wind picking up, favouring the Panthers' end. 32 coming round back on his left foot is Christopher Hall. He comes out wide, a play by himself, looks like Manuel. And he takes it. This needs to be a goal.
It's one of the places that South Adelaide have been exceptionally good today, is the defending of the kick-in. And again, we saw there, they've actually changed Stephen Hall from kicking out, had another kicker there, but there was just no options.
Manuel has kicked 2 in that 3rd quarter. That's his 3rd for the afternoon. He's come on and done a job for Coach Greg Anderson. And we're back to 11-point ball game.
And career best, Michael. He's never kicked more than one in a game.
He's very pleased when he kicked his second, and again, you can see he's very happy to get the score on the board. Name will be in the paper tomorrow morning, regardless. But Mark Naylor, you've got to keep that $10 in the bottom with the wallet moths for a little bit longer, because it's still a game. Another quick one
10
here.
points.
And it's a great game too. From woe to go, from the first quarter right through till now, it's been a bottler. O'Hara on the boundary. 10 points. As the Eagles prepare to make a ruck change. O'Hara gave them so much in the first half. Neiman's been very good in the second half. He thumps it down. Getting the ball out of the middle was Higgins. And into space it falls. Crowell and Cobb, that's another good contest. Matty Kluzek evades one. Brings it back into the corridor. It was good discipline. The kick wasn't what it should have been. Higgins was the target. Misses him comprehensively. Free kick off the ball, and it's going back to Mills.
He's got Osman out wide if he wishes to use him. Well, he doesn't. Straightens the body.
He's got Morgan short. Brogan just didn't push back, and there was no one under the hole. Johnson did. He's manhandled. Play on, said the umpire. Cicarella gets through. Geez, clever. Sells the dummy, evades and kicks all in the one action to Floriani. The skills were centimetre perfect. And now Floriani has got Higgins at the true centre-half forward position. Mark Naylor shakes his head. There was some slackness from the South Adelaide midfield, for sure.
Urgency. It needs to be urgent in this sort of situation.
Just a missed tackle from Mark Damasi was critical there. Had a real opportunity to wrap him up. We've said that the South Adelaide tackling has been sensational, and just that one miss could cost a lot.
David Neiman goes off to a round of applause. He's done his job. O'Hara comes back on. And Higgins kicks from 40 metres out, doesn't make the distance. Chris Kluzek was up and almost took a spectacular chest mark, and Pesh grubbers it off the ground for a behind.
And a couple of the lads just reminding each other that they're opponents as they scrimmage in the goal square.
The umpire's brought that back. The boundary umpire, or the goal umpire, had finished his duties.
Yeah, well, you can't do it with 6 players on the ground in the goal square, Mark.
Oh.
I've got this book here for you, Mark.
Read the book. Read the book.
This is going to find O'Hara. She takes it. He doesn't. Mills does it beautifully. Takes it out of the air, then puts it to the ground. Clone has just moved into front and centre. Nearly took that. Good kick off the ball there. Damasi running hard as Perry. It should run at the football. I can't continue, you go.
Righto, Shirley got it from Floriani. Floriani has played a bottler today. Beveridge, stateside after 5 games, not a bad effort for the Tasmanian. And Burton, I think you'll find, has played himself back into the Crows with his match today. He's run hard and he's been solid, and he's played a more attacking role. This one to Matty Kluzek. He's had the points on Phil Merton. Mark Naylor's spat the chewy. And good night, South Adelaide. I think you're right, Mark. 23 and a bit minutes into the final term. 11-point ball game with Matty Kluzek lining up for his third. 2 goals, 2 at this point. And I'll just give you a receipt for that, Mark.
Oh, dear.
Well, what a game it's been. 3rd versus 4th. We said that the winner of this match comes away with a consolidation of 3rd position, and Kluzek's point, I don't think in the final wash will make much difference, because the Eagles will run out victors in this match, and South Adelaide need to regroup.
Yeah, there's 23 minutes gone in the final quarter, and South Adelaide really are starting to give themselves a big challenge. They need to go down the middle, go long, and everybody's looking for a final effort just to get the ball and run it forward.
That's a great kick. Cicarella takes it out of the air, comes out wide to Dillon. Dillon can just pace himself here and bring this back nicely. He does that. It's another goal to Dillon. And that's his first. And that's the 16th for the Eagles.
And now we can be more confident that Mark Naylor will release the wallet moths as he hands over the $10 note. But South Adelaide, they've had a real dip at it. The tactic was right. When you get desperate, go long, get the numbers to the ball. Unfortunately, it fell to Cicarella. Jason Dillon loves that opportunity to run in and goal. He's got good skills for a half-foot flanker. I'm very happy to put the sealer on the board.
Merton off, Brendan McKeough on. Tough day at the office for him. So 16-18 to 14-12. It's been a high-scoring shootout today. O'Hara thumps the ball forward. Floriani continues his form. Handballs it into space. Burton sells the dummy. Goes around one. straightens up and turns it around for a point. Did everything right except the finish.
Although he's played a very good game today, Dave, you can just tell that things just aren't falling 100% for Brett Burton right now. Just a couple of missed handballs, a couple of skewed kicks where he could have had an absolute bottler. He's just let himself down a little bit with the skill.
Johnson brings the ball back in. Kicks up high. Burton decides to thump the ball back in his forward direction. Again, O'Hara, the youngster, gets it back. Crowell over the top. Sets up the loose player in Beveridge. Beveridge just spots a player further afield. Couldn't quite get it to Gallagher. Threadgold's in there. He's got 2 or 3. He wants to go to the safety of the boundary lines. He found it. No, he hasn't. Beveridge is back in. Pops it over the top now. The ball's a high ball in. In there is Matty Kluzak at the back. Chris is there also. The ball's still alive. Matty Kluzak, left leg high. Not quite accurate enough. So another behind to the Eagles. Through Matthew Kluzak, 16-20, 1-16, a 20-point margin now over the Panthers.
Johnson from fullback. Had his hands full today with Matthew Kluzak and Chris Kluzak. Higgins turns it around the corner, into space it goes. Pesh sets himself, couldn't quite get there. Turvey under pressure. And Beveridge, he seems to have recovered from that knee injury. Threadgold, who's been one of South Adelaide's better defenders today, goes towards the line. Burton loses his balance. Can't quite get there. Good work, Lachlan Palmer. Actually, Mark, I've been impressed with Lachlan Palmer today.
He still has a long way to go in his football development. He's 22 years of age, so has been around for a little while down there at Noarlunga. Only played a handful of games. But he is. I mean, he just needs a little bit more work in the gymnasium. If he's expected to play on a half-back flank, he just needs to get a bit stronger.
Gallagher, forward into space. Dillon, first man there, punches it back. Turvey picks it up. And the sting really has gone out of this game. I think South Adelaide have conceded defeat. The Eagles just now look for a bit of percentage. McCarthy, who's done a pretty good job for the final quarter or so on Perry, thumps it back, and Cobb, well, he's had his hands full today too. Crowell and Cobb have battled it out. It suggests that points are shared there. Turvey on the left. Perry, one-handed attempt. McCarthy tries to wrap him up. Rogers there in support. The boundary line close, but Colville feeds it forward. McCarthy sells the dummy, gets tackled, gets the kick away, and look at who's marked it. John Floriani, who's had a day out today, this young man.
Floriani, we see Beveridge coming off for a well-deserved rest. Newitt going back on as his replacement. Ball's up, should take to Sahara, he does. Wants to give the football across to Gallagher, sets him up, puts him on a little bit of pressure, but Gallagher has time to put it up. 2-on-1 here. The mark should be taken by Burton, and quickly moves on, spots the player by himself. He could walk in and kick this. He decides to go back, David Newitt. He's already kicked one in the second quarter. He's lining up for his second. He too, 27 years of age, David. Playing his sixth game, his first season at Woodville Oval. As we hear the final siren, we'll just wait on the result. And the ball didn't spin that well, but it's brought up a major for the Eagles. Another one.
17-20.
Really, it is the Eagles in that last half really did dominate.
You've got to suggest, Michael, when you look at the better players, you might just go through them for us, that the Eagles will have a pretty high spread, but so too will South Adelaide.
Yes, Dave, it was a good quality game, wasn't it? It started off at a fantastic pace with a lot of run, both forward lines well spread, with lots of space for the leading forwards to run into. But as we go through the better players, John Floriani, as you mentioned, was exceptional. Andrew Beveridge for the Eagles, before he hurt his knee, then came off for about a quarter, but went back on and was an influence again. The Kluzak boys both gave targets up forward. I thought Andrew Crowell was very, very good, particularly in the first half. Gavin Colville got his share of the ball. Justin Cigarella has so much time, and we saw maybe the re-emergence of Brett Burton today, I think, for the Eagles. If you look at the South Adelaide side, again, there was a number of very good players there, but they just didn't have the legs in the end to continue the run that they started with. David Morgan was good in the centre. Damien Clonan got his hands on the ball a bit, let himself down a bit with some skill errors. Andrew Osmond started to find the ball. Dean Talbot was particularly good early. Trent Mills, Ian Perry was a target. Dean Brogan continues his development of basketballer turned footballer, and I thought David Threadgold was very, very good in his defensive action.
What time?
We just see there, Dave, of the Panther players, the heads hanging a little bit low, but to Greg Anderson's credit, I mean, they did battle out hard this afternoon, and they should. I mean, they should have been proud of their performance. As we heard Michael Parsons say, just run out a little bit of the legs, but to the Eagles' credit, playing at home on the rebound from their loss last week against the Bulldogs, came out with the points. And
Well,
you get the money this afternoon.